Man, this ain't our war, man. Shit, our black ass should be back in the Bronx where we belong. Now you gonna play this Marine war hero. Man, this ain't our war, man. Shit, our black ass should be back in the Bronx where we belong. I think y'all was some goddamn fools going over there fighting that white man's war. That's right. What you got when you get back here, huh? Not a goddamn thing.
They sit down and
I'm saying you talking about me about some draft, and all of you white boys are breaking your neck to get to Switzerland and Canada and London. I'm not gonna help nobody get something my Negroes don't have. If I'm gonna die, I'll die now, right here fighting you. If I'm gonna die, you my enemy. My enemy is the white people, not Vietnamese or Chinese or Japanese. You my opposer when I want freedom. You my opposer when I want justice. You my opposer when I want equality. You won't even stand up for me in America for my religious beliefs, and you want me to go somewhere and fight, but you won't even stand up for me here at home.
The Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion. What do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda, When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in 68, Comrade Brezhnev said, now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized. This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with the benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember?
What is good, my people? We are live back again on the forecast. What's up, Matilda? I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you up. What's up, my brother Guy? Bible Drip, what's going on, my brother Raw? I'm glad you made it. How you doing, Raw? So yeah, and like I said, before I start, make sure y'all subscribe to the backup channel in case they ever, you know what I'm saying, give me another strike. And I'm probably gonna put up another premiere video soon. So you know, I'll be on that. So, you know, make sure y'all subscribe in case they take my channel off for whatever reason. Now, you know, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't really gonna talk too much about the Russia thing, you know what I'm saying? I know everybody talking about it. And, you know, it's just for us as the way we are right now, we might as well be talking about football or something because we not making no decisions. We just reacting and talking and commenting on the side about it, you know what I'm saying? And you know, honestly, I didn't really want to talk about because it's ways we can use the war, but you know, to our advantage, you know, but that's like a college course thing, and we're not really mature enough for that. So, you know, I kind of ignored it. But to be honest with you, you know, it's still a lot of things that we have to learn from it. And, you know, like at least how wars are fought, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's why I'm gonna go ahead and you know what I'm saying, talk about it and get into it. And I'm gonna show y'all the first let me show y'all the first thing because you know, before we really get into like, you know what I'm saying, what was the war thing. Now this happened 3 years ago and people deny that it happened, but you know, I think it's still fair, and I want to see what people got to say about it or what they think about it. So and I'm gonna put the link in the chat, but you know, like I'm not gonna be on here late tonight, so you know, y'all, if y'all come on here, you know what I'm saying, you know, like kind of keep it quick and like to the and keep it to the topic, you know what I'm saying. I don't really want to get lost in this one, you know what I'm saying, because I just want to show some things and then that'll be it, you know what I'm saying. So let me show y'all the first thing because I want to hear what y'all got to say about it.
Profiling the whole of the African continent by saying that Africa is a cemetery.
I'm so glad we're finally on vacation.
My bad, y'all. They always do that at the end.
In his exact words, he was quoted saying, "When an African becomes rich, his bank accounts are in Switzerland. He travels to France for medical treatment. He invests in Germany. He buys from Dubai he consumes from China. He prays in Rome or Mecca. His children study in Europe. He travels to Canada, USA, Europe for tourism. If he dies, he will be buried in his native country of Africa. Africa is just a cemetery for Africans. How can a cemetery be developed? Russia has recently been taking more interest in Africa, signing 19 military cooperation deals in the continent with countries like Ethiopia, Nigeria, and Zimbabwe. While in Central African Republic, Russian troops have been training the army, which has been fighting against militia groups who are competing to take control of the country. The Central African Republic has a large deposit of gold, diamonds, and uranium, and Russia's growing role in exploiting them appears to be a quid pro quo for providing military support. Putin's remarks about all Africans all over the continent talking, with some taking it as a positive criticism, while others feel it was a racial attack from the tough Russian president.
All right. So according to them, they're trying to say that he never said this and it's not real. But, you know, it is a conversation that I do want to ask y'all, you know. Now, according to them, they said when an African gets rich, his bank accounts are in Switzerland. He travels to France for medical treatment. He invests in Germany. He buys from Dubai. He consumes China. Is he praying in Rome or Mecca? Your children study in Europe. He travels to Canada, US, Europe for tourism. If he dies, he will be buried in his native African country. Africa is just a cemetery for Africans. How could a cemetery be developed? So, you know, they're trying to say this guy said that, and he's trying to deny that he said it, you know. But, you know, I want to, yeah, I know they're saying that he didn't say that, but I want to hear what y'all got to say about, you know, those words, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think we rely too much on other people's stuff? You know what I mean? Like, and, you know, it's not about necessarily that, whether he said it or not, but like, how do you feel about those words? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that I was going to ask y'all on a couple of shows ago, even though that one left. So I'm going to put the link in the chat for anybody who want to come on. And then we're going to kind of get into the topic because, you know, I see a lot of us, you know, we don't understand like what, how to position ourselves to put ourselves in a, you know, to put ourselves in a position to capitalize on every opportunity that lies before us because we're not even ready for that thing. So I'm just going to start from the beginning, like how and what is war, how they use these certain tactics, the certain things that you do and the things that we do. So we're going to learn from our mistakes that we're making, and we're going to also learn from how other people do things, you know what I'm saying, when they really want stuff to stop, you know, like, so all revolution isn't bloody, you know what I'm saying, but some of it is, but all of it isn't, you know what I'm saying. All right, so let me just go into the first one, because when I seen this one actually what made me even do this, because I wasn't even gonna go live for a while, you know, I was just gonna chill, but I seen this and I was tripping. Yo, what's going on, my brother? Person killed 21, and like I said, y'all can come on and you know, it's not meant to be a long show, but I just want to show like a couple of screen shares. Okay, I feel you, my brother guy. All right, so let me just go ahead and start with the first screen share.
Year-old Detroit man is preparing to travel to Ukraine to fight. Victor Williams spoke to him today. Victor, does he have ties then to Ukraine?
Yes, he does have some ties, but he wants everyone to know that he is not a warmonger. He's just going to help the people that really need it right now.
All of Ukraine is a war zone, so to speak. So I'm going to kind of help the Ukrainians defend their homeland.
Detroiter Dr. M. Dejan Johnson says in just a few days he'll be on the front lines fighting the war against Russia. So far, he's already ordered a Kevlar helmet
and flak jacket and all the other necessities.
This Wednesday, the 62-year-old will be flying to Amsterdam and then to Poland. From there, he plans to travel to Ukraine and immediately join the battle.
I get real-time information from Ukraine, from my contacts there, and they're really, really suffering.
These small acts of kindness.
Members pray for him at Church of the King in downtown Berkeley.
Right now, perfect the things that are imperfect in him, Father. And Father, we know that he is your child in the name of Jesus. We thank you for the opportunity that he has to go and to do what you call him to in Jesus' name.
Some Ukrainians even showed their gratitude. Pastor Tal Sullivan says their prayer requests are simple.
We're praying for protection and God's provision, and we're inviting God to come and use them as he wants.
Dr. Johnson has a military background serving with the Army. He also already spent 2 years in Ukraine working at a university.
My job from 2018 to 2020 was to train university professors and graduate students on bringing transparency and democracy to the classroom. Who would have figured I would be putting that to practice? I don't plan on coming back with a red, white, and blue or blue and yellow flag over a box. So I'm coming right back here in Detroit and hopefully make Detroit better like we all do.
And we certainly hope that that's the case. As you can imagine, Dr. Johnson's family is totally against this. Victor Williams, local.
How impressive, though.
All right. So I did it backwards, but that's cool. But you see this brother going over there, and and the reason why I'm gonna talk about it, because on one hand, you'll hear this kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Brothers like him, you know what I'm saying, talking about I'm going over there to fight the war, we gotta save these people and all of this other stuff. And then on the other hand, you'll hear people like, oh, what did this war have to do with us? But then we'll turn around and look at the pumps and stuff like that and be like, yo, it's $5 a gallon. That's crazy, you know what I'm saying? And then we wonder what this war has to do with us, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that's brother. He's preparing himself to go fight on the front lines for, Ukraine. And, even though he comes from Detroit, and I'm not sure what he's doing to help on the front lines in Detroit, but like I said, it's either that or people got this mind frame, you know what I'm saying, like that's Russia, that's Ukraine, and I'm walking past, but then we look at it as whatever, you know what I'm saying, like it has nothing to do with us. And I agree, like we shouldn't jump in on either side, but like I said, I don't really talk about it because we're not really ready to talk about how this war does affect us, because we look at the gas pump, but how can we use it is the more important thing. But I know a lot of us would probably rather, argue and stuff like that about who we are, what we do. Yo, what's going on, Viral Drip at MG2?
Always good there, my brother.
What's good, fo?
What's up, man? What's up? So yeah, man, how you feel about what I was showing y'all?
With Captain Sable? I think he a damn fool. And he will probably end up getting shot in the back by Ukrainian Nazis.
Okay, yeah, MG2.
Yeah, it's this assimilation mindset that unfortunately Negroes suffer from, what I call the Martin Luther Kingism, and many don't know what the Azov movement is over there in Ukraine. They want to go ahead and resurrect the quote unquote whole white world. That's exactly from the so-called leader who's now in Zelensky's cabinet. That was a manifesto that he had. So any Negro that goes over there, as Dr. Amos Wilson said, Dr. John Henry Clark said, you go over there, stay over there.
Yeah, facts. And MG2, you would be like the college course, you know what I'm saying? Because you understand how to use this war. And I'll be trying to repeat what you say, but we have to give like a basics, kindergarten course on like how stuff is done, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is war? How is it fought? What do we have to do? Like just the basics of using your own strength to your own advantage, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of stuff that we can learn from what's going on. Since we can't be involved in that way, we're not ready for that step yet. but you know, it is a lot that we can learn, so we can at least get to the first step, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show the first screen share because I just came across this today. All right, so
We're just hearing from the Canadian and German leaders about severe, swift, sharp sanctions that Western nations have leveled on Russia.
now I want y'all to see this because this is what happens when people are serious about doing something, you know.
Hearing from the Canadian and German leaders about severe, swift, sharp sanctions that Western nations have leveled on Russia from outside. But there are other economic pressures on Russia that big international companies are applying from inside the country. Social media companies, automakers, food processors, restaurant chains, severing ties, closing up shop. And Hillary Johnstone is on that story in Ottawa. Hillary, the list of companies now into the hundreds.
More than 300 now, Heather. And today, the latest company to announce is the Dutch beer maker Heineken, saying that it's immediately halting all of its production and advertising in Russia. And there has been mounting pressure on companies to do something in the wake of this Russian aggression in Ukraine. Now, McDonald's is probably one of the bigger companies to announce that it was going to be temporarily closing all 847 of its restaurants. McDonald's first opened in Russia in 1990. There are now 60,000 employees who have been sent home with pay. After McDonald's made that announcement, we then saw a number of other companies come out and announce similar things, including Starbucks, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, KFC, and Pizza Hut as well. And then, of course, it's not just restaurants and food makers. We're hearing from companies such as Canada Goose and Canadian Tire. Shopify has also announced it's going to be suspending its operations in both Russia and Belarus, and it's going to be taking away fees for its Ukrainian clients in solidarity with what has been happening in that country. And what we are hearing from analysts, from experts, is that it's going to be really interesting to see how ordinary Russians respond to all of this. The fact that one day they can go in, they can grab a Starbucks, they can go to McDonald's, and now they can't. Here's some of what we've been hearing.
It's really been extraordinary when you look across the last 2 weeks, the degree of coordination and unified action that we've been seeing.
Normally, companies don't abandon significant investments very quickly. Usually there's reluctance to, for instance, diminish your brand value. In a sizable country like Russia,
So Heather, that pressure keeps growing. And what the other thing that we're hearing from experts is that there's going to be growing backlash against companies that maybe don't act quite as quickly as some of the other ones.
And despite those very active campaigns on social media and elsewhere, there are major companies which are not closing down. Which are some of those, Hillary?
A Burger King would be one example. And what we've heard from the Toronto-based owner is that all of those 800 stores, Burger King franchises in Russia, that they are independently owned and operated. We've also heard from the fast clothing giant Uniqlo, that Japanese company, that it's not going to be stopping. It says, according to its CEO, because it believes that clothing is a necessity of life. We've also heard something similar from the big French yogurt maker, Danone, saying that it's going to be stopping some parts of its operation, but it will continue to sell bottled water and baby formula, making that sort of thing available to all Russians.
All right, so yeah, Japan and France, like, yeah, I ain't got nothing to do with this, you know. We need clothes, everybody need clothes. But you know, first of all, you know, like, just for us to learn, like, when you're serious, you actually start using your dollars and your resources and everything that you have in a certain way, in a correct way. You know what I'm saying? It's not just doing all of that, but you know, you see what happens when they get serious, you know. So Bible Drip, you got something to say about that, my brother?
Yeah, I don't think Russians not being able to consume Pepsi or McDonald's really gonna hurt them at all. A lot of people don't know this, but Russia is like the third largest exporter in oil. And what Biden did the other day, he basically saying a F you to all of us, because him not accepting Russian oil is going to drive the price up even higher. It was already on the rise, so it will get higher And now what they're trying to do is get the oil from Venezuela, and Venezuela really don't need to send us oil. They're gonna find buyers for their oil. So things gonna get a lot worse. I was in the supermarket the other day. My God, man, everything is so much more expensive. It's terrible. It's terrible what's going on, man. Pretty
Yeah,
soon you're gonna have a choice between putting gas in your car or eating.
yeah, but you know, it's a white on white crime, so it don't affect us. But MD2.
Hold on, forecast. I
Okay,
wanna
okay.
address this Putin comment. Somebody in the chat said Putin was 100% right. I disagree with that. As far as Africa being a cemetery, if you look at over the centuries, all the taking of the minerals and everything out of Africa, it still has the most supply of all of that than any other country. They have so much oil that just haven't been tapped into. It's more oil in Africa than it is in these Middle Eastern countries. And then you talk about the diamonds and gold and coltite and all of that. A lot of these other countries, they wouldn't survive without Africa. Everybody is trying to grab a piece of Africa. And my brothers over in Africa, you got to do better, man. They getting these high interest loans, like right now what China doing. China giving these countries these high interest loans, and when they default, they end up owning these. I think that was Nigeria recently. They said they defaulted on a loan, and they own one of the airports over there. So yeah, that's incorrect. Africa, take France for instance. They said if France was thrown out of Africa, it would be a third world country, and a lot of these other countries would be the same.
Yeah, I think they mean that. I'm gonna let MD2 respond to that, but and then MD2 after you respond to that, and then to what the video. But I think they meant because they're not controlling none of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they kind of got to go to France to do their banking or shopping or whatever, or get medical help or go to school when all that stuff is there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what they was kind of trying to get to. But yeah, MD2, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad that Viral had brought that up because that was me, Viral, who posted that. Putin is 100% correct. Africa is a cemetery, and African people are zombies. They're corpses. And that's me. I'm an African. And let me tell you why. He is 100% correct. As a commodity trader and a geopolitical analyst, let me tell you something. Anytime, Viral and all black folks, anytime that your resources, your people, your lands are fertilizer for someone else, it makes it a cemetery for you. Here's what I mean. Every weapon in Africa, every gun that's made, every missile that's there is pointed into the continent and not out toward the sea against enemies. You said it yourself, and this is what I see because a lot of us like validation. Hold on for one sec. Sorry, I had the tea kettle. A lot of us like validation, talking about the things that we have and what we are, and we even romanticize about ancient, Kemet, whatever. But at the end of the day, Africa is it is the most unprotected place in the world. Why? Because of the fact that Africans protect everyone else but themselves. Everyone takes advantage of those resources but Africans. Everyone else lives there, occupies it, and actually exploits those resources against Africans. Again, if your lands are fertilizer for someone else, because of course our resources, our people fertilize other industries, whether you brought it yourself, you said it yourself, the Chinese, you said it yourself, France. They're the ones who are the benefactors. Those are the ones who are actually building their economies and growing their economies and growing their people and growing their society on African blood, African resources, African people. So therefore, we're the fertilizer for others. And if you're fertilizer, you're living in a cemetery. So yes, Putin is 100% correct. As someone who's traveled to Africa dozens of times, he is 100% correct. On the video, one of the things, Brother Forecast, talking about sanctions, Africa's the most sanctioned place on the planet. Yet others are talking about, oh, Russia's sanctioned. I have no love for Russians. They're white nationalists. But I do agree with what Russia's doing, because that's a family squabble. That's something that goes back centuries. Over 150 years ago, they've been fighting this so-called conflict. And when crickets fight, it's a joy to the crow. What I mean by that, that's an old African proverb. When peckerwoods fight, it's a benefit to us. Therefore, France can't go in and go ahead and grab those resources, as you said, and use us as their cemetery. Or China can't come in because they're too occupied trying to go ahead, like they did in the so-called World War I, so-called World War II, and other wars. As they're fighting themselves, we build. Unfortunately, in today's world, we seek so much validation, saying, well, we got this and we got that. No. If you're not using your banks, if you're not using your resources, if you're not using that to go ahead and keep the colonizers and everyone else out, and to benefit to build yourself so you have your own manufacturing and health, security, international trade, finance, education, media, technology. If you're not doing that for yourself and solely for yourself without anybody else's help, then you are a cemetery. And that's what Africa is. It's the most sanctioned place in the world. It's always been sanctioned, whether it's Zimbabwe, Cote d'Ivoire. Let me tell you how Africa's a cemetery. Every other race, every other nation can come here and come into Africa and kill anything it wants. They call it what's the name, tourism, hunters tourism or whatnot. Did you guys know in Kenya there's an animal called the bongo that's almost extinct? There's only 100 of them left. Why? Because Africa's a cemetery, because Chinese and Vietnamese came in and grabbed everything other that the peckerwoods didn't get. Did you know what the pangolin is over in Madagascar? Pretty much extinct, because Koreans, Vietnamese, Chinese, and every other individual in Dubai and UAE and everything else is taken. But let me tell you something viral. Let me see one of you or I go to China and kill a panda. We'll be hung in Tiananmen Square, because they value themselves. They're not a cemetery. So anybody that says that Africa isn't, or that, oh, well, we've got our own banks or whatever, they're delusional. Because I've been, and you're saying it with your own evidence and your own mouth, how others are taking advantage of us. Anyways, I'll pass the mic on that, Brother Forecast.
All right, hey, Viral Drip, I'm gonna let you. Oh, I'm gonna let, because Bakari came on here. I'm gonna let him go. Then you can respond to that, and then we're gonna go to the next thing.
What's going on, Forecast?
Peace, God.
Peace, God. What's up, MG2 Viral Drip? Chat.
What's up, Bakari?
Yeah, I heard you talking, right? I'm kind of late, but I caught a little bit in and out, doing some stuff. But I heard him talking about what Putin said about Africa being a cemetery, right? I heard him talking about how the colonizers came in and what they did, right? I was trying to find this to send it to Forecast just to show the article, but I've shown this article before. Look back and see how how Angola in the 2000s, about 15, 16, something like that, was controlling Portugal. Everything in Portugal. Forecast, you remember I did that show? Everything in Portugal, all the money, everything, Black Africans control. And what makes it a cemetery, when you say Putin is right, what makes it a cemetery is you will go to another country, a country that colonized you. You take control, you use your billions, your language to end up controlling the country that colonized you, but don't fix your own country. You just continue to fix on Portugal to make Portugal okay. The reason Africa is a cemetery is because Africans don't invest in Africans. Not just the Africans from the continent. Since they're there, they should do it first. Africans from around the world in the diaspora, when we make it, when we get the amount of money to go and deal with Africa, for some reason, we don't want to go and deal with Africa. I remember Robert Mugabe, the Lion of Africa, Robert Mugabe, when he sold diamond mines to Putin, they were $3 billion a piece. And you can probably still find that meeting, that upload on YouTube, but I used to watch it live, and they were talking the meeting with Putin. He had to do $3 billion a piece. And when they come, even though they purchased the mines, they still had to pay Zimbabwe to be there, and they had to hire a certain amount of Zimbabweans. I remember about a year or two before Putin ever purchased that, he was reaching out to African Americans, and he said they could get them for $1 billion per mine less than what they see. Putin was charged 3. He was going to charge African Americans $2 billion. Then the other sanctions, how you have to continue to pay them to be in the land, was not on the African Americans if we could afford to go. I said that to say we leave our ancestral home, our motherland. They leave where they're from. We allow it to become a cemetery. We allow it to be dominated and controlled, just like we allow ourselves here to be dominated and controlled. So we can then we say, look what the colonizers and everybody has done. I understand what MG2 when he say when the two crickets fight, the crows are happy. Yeah, I'm happy they fighting. That's their business. I understand what MG2 mean by that. But while they're fighting, if we gonna be the crow, because if we gonna be the crow because the two crickets fighting, we need to be preparing and be ready how we can take advantage of everything whenever it stops. Take advantage of it now. So once it stops, we have already started pushing that way. We can't sit back and can't not sit back and wait. And I yield the mic.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let Viral Drip go in, then I'm gonna go to the next screen share. And if y'all wanna keep going with that comment, I'll just make that like, you know, the theme of the show, the question of the show.
Yeah. My whole thing is though him saying that it's no development. That's more partially the Africans' fault. They need to get these corrupt leaders out of there. But as far as the land, there's so many resources in Africa. Everybody knows this, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but like, you know, just with the quote, you know, and why I put it up there, because like he said, it's like the people, now, you know, the people leave that land and go to all of these other places to get something that where the people who they're going to have to come to them to get, you know. So, you know, that's kind of why I wanted it to be a good discussion. But you know, to that video and what y'all was saying about how they're gonna react, I want to show you what they said themselves when they heard about stuff like that. So
войска, и они сейчас бомбят русскоязычные города, Киев, Харьков. Вот у нас есть несколько кадров оттуда.
Пойдем.
Я за Путина. Я хочу вам показать несколько. Я за Путина. Я поняла. Даже не буду смотреть фотографии. Ну вот это вот ничего этому не. Я за Путина. Харьков, Киев. Нет, ну расскажите о своей позиции. Я за Путина. Я за Путина. Я во всем за него.
да, Киев. Если Путина, я.
Никто не бомбит. Я этому не верю.
Вообще я считаю, что.
And I say that because if we knew what we was talking about, we would be able to say that and, you know, like, you know, not get emotional about it, but если Путина.
Путин, наверное, умный человек и знает, что делает, поэтому у меня нету какого-то негатива к этому. Значит, так надо. Вот, ну, вот это мое мнение. Значит, ну, мы же ничего, никак повлиять на это все не можем. Мне тоже как бы не нравится вся эта ситуация. Не думайте, что как бы нам это все нравится, потому что я понимаю, что и санкции ведут, и все равно, получается, будет бить по нашим карманам. То есть это и инфляция, и ну, какие-то, и безработица та же самая. Но, значит, ну, надо так. Я так, вот тут у меня только мое мнение такое, что, значит, будем терпеть, надо.
She said, we know there'll be sanctions, but that's the way it should be. And, you know, we'll take that. And hold on, there's one
Can
more.
I say this? Can I say something before you start right back, forecast?
Yeah,
What's
go
something
ahead.
I always ask? What are we willing to sacrifice? What are we willing to sacrifice to get what you see? They're willing to make a sacrifice for what they want, what they feel should be right, what they feel should be done. What are we willing to sacrifice?
Если Путина, my brother.
Американцы.
Зачем он положил 500 человек уже своих? Зачем? Не знаем. Да ну его нахрен.
Hold on. Let me see.
Превентивный удар. Он всю жизнь, да, тысячи жизней. Это правда. Это горько, это больно. А что вы прикажете делать?
What else is there to do? Wait until they attack us? I'm sorry, it hurt me. Hurt me. But what else is there to do? Wait till they attack us and kill
Ждать,
us?
пока на нас нападут?
Путин такого не мог сделать. Напасть на Украину, тем более. Зачем нападать, если там наши жители живут? Наши все там, Украина, Белоруссия.
Но это же произошло. Почему?
Excuse me, brother Forecast. Are those Ukrainians or Russians speaking? Because I can't really see anything.
They are Russians.
Okay.
I thought they were in the Ukraine. I thought
No,
there was a Russian speaking city in Ukraine.
No, it said how Russians reacted when showing them pictures from Ukraine.
Oh, okay. That's I thought when you started it off, that's what it said.
Yeah. My bad. I should have told y'all that these was Russian people talking about they support what was going on. But I'm gonna let y'all comment on that. But let me show y'all this because I got a couple more. But like speaking of using your money the right way, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to show y'all what happened when these corporations start talking about Black Lives Matter. These same ones pulling out of Russia.
Saying with statements saying Black Lives Matter, but inside some corporations, Black employees say that's not exactly the case. CBS 2's Andrea Klein-Thomas tells us now why things are starting to change.
We, the National Football League, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier.
From the NFL to Bon
Forgot
Appetit
about that
magazine,
boycott.
apologies and resignations have followed a reckoning in corporate America. Black employees sounding the alarm about toxic work environments at the same companies that declared Black Lives Matter and pledged large donations to social justice groups. Diversity and inclusion experts are sharing the questions many employees have on their minds.
And I have to tell y'all, when they say Black organizations, they mean like organizations ran by like people like Hillary Clinton and stuff. That's a Black organization.
Where is the pledge for that money to go back into our company to find the resources that you claim you don't have to hire people of color, to promote people of color?
Lauren Wesley Wilson is the founder of ColorCom Media Group. It first started as
I don't know why they made some.
work to provide a pipeline to the C-suite for people of color in communications.
Will you be able to move up if the examples aren't there? Is your company investing in you to be able to grow and providing a community and a space for inclusion?
For Black employees, they first have to overcome barriers to get hired, and then statistics show there's a slim chance of them moving up the corporate ladder. Just over 3% hold senior leadership positions in large companies, according to the Center for Talent Innovation.
There are more people like me out there. There are so many of them out there. So it's to create opportunity for people who are frankly more talented than I am in so many ways to rise up.
In September, Jide Zeitlin became the CEO of Tapestry that owns fashion brands Stuart Weitzman, Kate Spade, and Coach. He's one of only 4 Black CEOs of a Fortune 500 company and says he sees himself and the young Black men protesting. In a memo to employees about the uprising, he said, "This is personal."
We're having a lot of intense, at times uncomfortable conversations about what are we doing? How do we stand as a corporation?
Tapestry, like many companies, is looking at pay equity and setting benchmarks to have more representation in leadership.
If you don't have an inclusive, open culture, you can become more diverse by statistics, but you're not going to be able to motivate, keep, attract people on a consistent basis.
Wesley Wilson says now her phone is ringing off the hook as Fortune 500 companies seek diversity training. What is step one? What should they be doing right now?
Do an assessment of your company. Look inward.
And getting it right is not just goodwill, it's good business. Andrea Klein-Thomas.
All right, so you know they over there like we cool with these sanctions, and we over here like please let us into y'all businesses. But I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and comment on what y'all seen. Go ahead, Violet Drip, since you're the first one. Violet Drip.
Yeah. It's going to get a lot worse as you look at all these companies that's pulling out. Visa, MasterCard, to compensate for loss, they're going to drive up the rates here, which is going to make things even worse. It's like a series of dominoes that's just going to continue to keep falling. Man, for to say this don't affect us, it is going to affect us, because when prices go up, we are always the hardest hit because we have the less. So every little penny we got, we need that money. And when you talking about $10 at the gas pump or $5 for a thing of butter, man, that shit adds up, and it adds up fast. And these companies they showing, yeah, we already know how that go. The money never goes to the places it needs to go. That's been a continuing thing here for the longest, but yeah, I'll yield on that.
All right. And yeah, I'm sorry if it's running together, but I just wanted to show their reaction and our reaction, because we gotta learn the basics of, like, But go ahead, MG2.
Let me add another thing. If anybody recalls history in World War II, America spits the narrative like we the reason the war was won, but actually it was the Soviets, and it came with great sacrifice. People don't know how many lives they lost in that war, and that was the reason that Hitler was fighting on two fronts, and that front with the Soviets is what broke him. So you going up against the Soviets, you better be expecting a lot. I just don't know, man. It's if you look at the track record and the wars they've been through and the sacrifices they made, it's not looking too good. I think they just need to cut their losses, let them have Ukraine. It's not about controlling Ukraine. It's more about the West and NATO surrounding Russia with missiles and weapons. And I kind of agree with Putin, because if you recall back in the 60s with the Cuban Missile Crisis, they were trying to bring those nuclear weapons into Cuba 90 miles from U.S. soil, and it almost created a nuclear war. So this is the same thing going on over towards Russia. They not having it, and I don't blame them. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, MG2.
I'm so glad that Viral Chip said that, because and I work backwards. The Cuban Missile Crisis. Their Cuban Missile Crisis. Remember, one of the major issues was the fact that United States had missiles over there in Turkey pointing directly at Russia, snuck them in for personal reasons, of course, personal, and I say financial gain. And the Soviets were like, oh, hell no. And this is their version of a quote unquote Bay of Pigs, if you want to say that. The version, but they're using what I call an entire media inspired Bay of Pigs. Invade, like they did in Cuba, but use the media narrative to go ahead and say, well, see how bad these Soviets are. Now, I have no love for Soviets. I agree with what they're doing, but I have no love for them. One other thing that Viral Chip was talking about, and especially earlier, which I have to totally agree with, was the cost of the fact that costs and prices go up. Here's the thing: oil is not just used in cars. Matter of fact, the United States only uses 3% of the oil that they get is from Russia. But once one price goes up, it's economics 101, supply and demand. If you pull supply off, demand goes up, and so do prices. Oil is used, or I should say, petroleum products are used in everything from your food to your medicine to your to manufacturing to not just jet fuel, car fuel, and whatnot. Even your textiles have petroleum products. So the thing is, and I'm talking your clothes. If you buy some Jordans, oil is used to make sure those Jordans are on your feet. So the thing is, the fact that if it's pulled from one area of the world, a lot of folks are under the delusion of thinking, well, we only use this much, it must not be. No, if one thing is pulled away, since the entire world's supply chains are inextricably linked, everybody suffers. If one thing is off the market, every country is going to suffer because everybody uses that. It's like saying you have a big pool of water and somebody drains some of the water away. Everybody in that pool is going to suffer. A lot of folks are under that delusion. Why? If you looked at what happened today, inflation went up to its 40-year high at 7.9%. It's ridiculous. And as Viral Chip said so well, and I'm so glad he said that, we are the ones who are the ones that are going to get hurt the most. Because whenever inflation goes up, the cost of money goes up, which means interest rates go up, which means products that you buy at the store, the cost of your boss to go ahead and employ you, the cost of an Uber, the cost of a bus, the cost of when you go to court for some nonsense, everything goes up, and we're the ones who are affected the most. Okay, anyone that thinks that that's an anomaly, again, that's delusion. And I'm so glad Viral Trip brought that up because it's gonna impact us in ways that is going to be disastrous. And here's why. You've also got an economy that's slowing down. Their economy's slowing down. When they slow down, black folks go to a crawl. Okay, in other words, when I mean by a slowdown, again, you've already seen from yesterday's job reports that they're slowing down in terms of new hires. You're seeing where housing starts is slowing down, where production or whatnot is slowing down, although the costs go up for them. What does that mean? Stagflation. Anyone that's lived through the 70s, through the stagflation that was going on into the 80s, will know that what we're about to face for black folks is going to be akin to an apocalypse. But a lot of our folks don't realize it. They don't want to think about it. And I'm going to tie that into the videos that you showed. When Brother Bakari talked about what are we ready to sacrifice? The Russians said, hey, we've been through this party before. Okay, as Viral Chip was talking about the Soviets, they've been through this party, not just in the days of the Cold War. I'm talking about the days of the so-called white Russians back when Anastasia was killed. Okay, this is something that other folks have been through. They said, hey, we sacrificed, so what? But when you look at us, we're so, as Africans and black folks are so caught up in the wanting to be needed, wanted, loved, admired, acknowledged. We need to go ahead and have racial whatever, because they had problems over at Starbucks or problems over whatever. We're so intent in trying to include ourselves and assimilate and mix and integrate with something that it's been proven our destruction, that it's no wonder that Russians, because they are a thinking people, are saying, look, we would rather sacrifice. As Viral Chip was talking about the sanctions earlier, the fact that Nestle is pulled out, Nintendo pulled out, countries pulled out, you know what that means? That means Russians can spend money with Russians and not export their capital to these other countries. In other words, it's a benefit for these folks to be sanctioned by Starbucks and McDonald's and everything else, because that means those foreigners are not going to get Russian capital. That means Russians can start making their own hamburgers and making their own things. The thing about black folks is we're constantly, Brother Forecast, I'm so glad you played those videos. Why? Because it shows you that the folks we're trying to go ahead and include ourselves with, the money that we spend with all these corporations and everything else, they rush like, going into a fire. They rushed to go ahead and make sure that they could sanction everybody because they love Ukrainians, because those are their good neo-Nazis. But when it comes to us getting shot down in the streets or whatever, they didn't go ahead and sanction. When George Floyd was killed, you didn't hear you did not hear Pepsi say or Nestle say, well, we're not going to sell anything. Matter of fact, they said, let's sell some more to these Negroes. You didn't see any of that. And that's, in other words, I'll take it the opposite. Subway, Pizza Hut, and all the others backed the blue. They went out there and gave sandwiches, but when the protests were happening, saying, well, we're going to back our so-called cops. So it's like I said, we're living in a delusional state as black folks because we don't realize that this is a benefit. And it's also a wake-up call of all wake-up calls that we'll ever see with the so-called Russian thing. Anyways, I'll go ahead and pass the mic on that.
Man, yeah, they gave free personal pan pieces to cops who, if you gotta kill the black man, I guess. But Antoine DeMella.
Yeah, you know what? They were right. Everything is affecting us, is affecting our businesses. We smell like diesel here in Atlanta area is up to $5.30 a gallon. I have a dump truck. Guess what it runs? Diesel. Yes, it is absolutely affecting us. I didn't think, I'm like, well, that's them. Because I'm gonna be honest, I thought Russia would have obliterated them by now. And that is the honest truth. I thought Big Russia would have obliterated little Russians. you know. But what it coming down to, not just the fuel, the food, everything, the shortages we're about to have. And I asked the question, what are we prepared for? Are we prepared for any of these shortages? Anybody have at least 1 month supply of everything in their house to survive? Right? That's what the effect that it have on us and what we need to start thinking about. So now,
I'm good.
When that woman said, when that man and woman, whatever, woman, like I said, when she said maybe that's what have to happen, what are we willing to sacrifice? We don't want to make any sacrifices. As MG2 was just speaking of, we don't want to, we can't even sacrifice our fake friendship with other people here. We have short-term memory. We have to make like everything is okay, wrap ourselves in a red, white, and blue flag and just be American. What are we willing to sacrifice? What are we willing to sacrifice to save us? Because we have sacrificed our revolutionary spirit. We have sacrificed our revolutionary mind. We have sacrificed our ancestors to the point to where we don't want to be called African no more. I'm just a Black American. We have sacrificed everything to try to fit in with them. So now, what are you willing to sacrifice to make sure that we are saved? What are we willing to sacrifice for ourselves? Sanction, like MG2, sanction after sanction after sanction. Then he said, what about George Floyd? And I heard some Black people being happy. Look, they just passed Emmett Till anti-lynching bill in 2022. Y'all happy for them to pass a lynching bill, making it a hate crime in 2022? I have a way to stop people from lynching you. I wish that bill had never been passed, the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, making it a hate crime. If white people have to tell you, or whoever have to tell you that somebody lynching you is a hate crime, trust me, they are not the problem. If we need them to write something down on a piece of paper saying, see, they done made it a hate crime, as if that's going to stop something, they are not the problem. They are doing what they are supposed to do. From everybody colonizing Africa to everybody colonizing us in our own neighborhoods, in our community here in the United States, for us being at the bottom, everywhere you go around the world, the rest of the world is doing what they're supposed to do. We are the ones not willing to make sacrifices and not doing what we are supposed to do. We're not coming together as a team. Val Drip said he good, and I'm glad you're good. So am I. But you know how many people I talk to say, man, this is what we need to do. It's about to get worse. It's about to get worse. It's about to get worse. And lo and behold, it's going to come like the pandemic. And guess what's going to happen when it comes like the pandemic? Everybody that ignored you and laughed at you, guess what? They are not, they going to need you. I'm to the point I told them, no, you can't get none. If we're not willing to prepare now, if we're not willing to sacrifice, if we're not willing to make sure that we're okay, if we are not willing to make sure we're okay, we'll never be okay. If we're still, as the one rap song said, at the white man table still begging for crumbs, is the blind leading the blind. If we still following blind people, that means we're blind, taking them, got people taking us. Let's just make sure we can tell white folks this. Let's get them to do this. They got the anti-lynching bill. Let's make them say reparations. If we haven't figured out by this time they're not doing anything for us, and that we got to do it for ourselves, and if we want to survive, and if we want our youth to be good, and if we want to make it through this, not just survive through this, but make it through this with strides and moving ahead, and we don't want to sacrifice to do that, it's nobody's fault but ours. It's nobody else's fault. It's our fault if we don't do what we're supposed to do right now to make sure we are okay. And I yield the mic.
Okay, yeah, and I appreciate all of y'all, but y'all some smart brothers, Viral Drip, MD2, Entwar Demela, because like I said, I showed these things to show their response. To the Russian chick was like, yeah, we know it's gonna be some backlash. We're prepared for that. We expect that to happen. We're good. We're tough. You know what I'm saying? And MD2, even though this is like you could teach a college course on how we could use this to benefit us, because we have to do that, because like y'all saying, like, how can we survive these prices without at least having something to gain or putting our way into it to where we can benefit? And what's up, Lightbearer? But like, but yeah, but even though this is a college, you know, like that's a college level kind of thing. We in kindergarten right now, but y'all brothers still allude to what's going on. And forgive me because we're gonna go to the next part. You know what I'm saying? But I want to share one more thing about the corporations thing.
Can I
You
say
know,
one more thing before you
yeah.
go to that? I'm getting kind of old. I might have almost lost my 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 trainer. My train of thought. You know what? It's gonna I'm getting old. So that means it's going, oh yeah, I got it while I was talking. When MG2 talked about how Russians, them sanctions, and they just gonna have to spend money with Russia, right? That tie into World War II, right? You know who else did that? That's what Germany did. Germany was okay, letting everybody don't want to deal with them, built their own economy. So what? That's part of the reason America's there, was to get their was to take German scientists and stuff and bring them here. Let's learn how to build the highways the way the Germans did. We gonna have to be willing to do the same thing. We gonna have to be willing to say, okay, that's it.
I'm not sure if you're aware of it, Bakari, but Germany had a lot of investments that wasn't in Germany. For one, the banking industry here, Ford Motor Company. Ford caught a lot of hell because he was building better vehicles for the Germans than he was for his own country. He was a low-key Nazi. He had pictures of Hitler up in his office, and Hitler admired Ford. And in the banking, you had Prescott Bush that gave millions in loans to Germany. So that wasn't exactly true.
Oh, what I said was how they cut everything off. They built their own economy. They ran everything out of there. That's what I'm talking. There were no more
Yeah, but
countries.
they had help. They had help from the outside, and a lot of those outsiders were German Americans here. And Prescott Bush, George Bush's father, he was one of them.
I understand all that. I'm not denying that nobody else came and helped them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about how everything that they built their own economy, their businesses, like what Russia gonna have to do now. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not saying nobody else came in and helped them.
All right. So yeah, let me just do the next thing, and then I'm gonna let y'all go around again. So let me share the screen. All right, because we was talking about the and Bakar, you mentioned George Floyd. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, yo, y'all brothers are smart. Y'all, even though this is a kindergarten course, y'all are still alluding to like the things that I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So let me play this video.
George Floyd at the hands of a white police officer has galvanized the world to take a stance against racism. The event has also set off a flurry of corporate statements in solidarity with Black people in America, along with pledges of more than $1.7 billion to advance racial justice and equity. The unprecedented outpouring of corporate support, however, was met with scrutiny. Critics say companies' display of solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement doesn't go beyond lip service, as they fail to follow through on their pledges of diversity. Here are some of the companies touting the Black Lives Matter movement. Microsoft has been posting powerful quotes on Twitter from Black employees describing how systemic racism takes a toll on their lives. But the company has come under fire for treating the BLM movement as a passing trend. A leaked email sent to mural artist Chantel Martin showed the company asked her to make a mural in honor of the BLM movement by June 7, while protests are still relevant. Harris Diamond, the chief executive officer of Microsoft's PR agency McCann, and chief marketing officer Chris Capicella later apologized for the insensitive language used. The company's 2019 Diversity and Inclusion report doesn't draw a positive picture either. According to the report, only 4.4% of Microsoft's global workforce across all brands, including retail and warehouse workers, identify as Black, and less than 3% of its US executives, directors, and managers are Black. Amazon is prominently displaying Black Lives Matter on its platforms, and its CEO, Jeff Bezos, has been posting on Instagram racist emails he's received from consumers who are unhappy with the company for taking a stance. But while 26.5% of Amazon employees identify as Black, disclosures show they are mostly hired for low-paying jobs, and it doesn't extend to senior management roles. According to a CNBC report, 44 of Amazon's 48 executives were white men in 2019. Amazon has faced years of criticism for selling a facial recognition software called Recognition to police departments with a lack of oversight on how it's being used. A 2019 study from researchers in MIT Media Lab found that Amazon's 2018 version of Recognition made errors when identifying dark-skinned individuals because the system was trained by datasets that were overwhelmingly male and white. A dozen AI researchers wrote an open letter in 2019 saying that Recognition was flawed and should not be at the disposal of law enforcement. After George Floyd's death and following ongoing criticism, the company has put a one-year pause on police use of its facial recognition software. But activists who have been campaigning for Amazon to halt the sale of the software for years question the ban, as it's only limited to 1 year. Google executives have joined other tech corporations in expressing support for the Black Lives Matter movement. A recent update for Google Assistant now has a custom answer to the question, do Black Lives Matter?
Black people deserve the same freedoms afforded to everyone in this country, and recognizing the injustice they face is the first step towards fixing it.
But Google
AKA
employment
no.
records show that the company has a weak representation of African Americans. Only 3.3% of the company's workforce is Black. 8 current and former Google employees told NBC News last May that Google rolled back its diversity and inclusion training in an effort not to be seen as anti-conservative. According to NBC, the company also terminated a diversity training program called Sojourn in 2019. 5 days after George Floyd's death, the American coffee giant expressed solidarity with Black people in America in a tweet that called for confronting racism, followed by another tweet expressing Starbucks' commitment to the Black Lives Matter movement. But BuzzFeed obtained a memo that showed Starbucks expressing a different sentiment about the BLM movement. In the memo, workers were told that they were prohibited from wearing any clothing or accessories that support the Black Lives Matter movement, arguing that the agitators in the movement could amplify divisiveness. But after a social media backlash and calls to boycott the coffee chain, the company released a statement saying that they will not only allow employees to wear BLM attire, but that they will also make 250,000 t-shirts to show their allyship and support for the movement. Many people reacted on social media, saying it's too little, too late.
Starbucks really changed their policy regarding Black Lives Matter shirts and pins literally the same day they banned them. These companies are finding more ways every day to show us that their regard for Black lives are afterthoughts and PR strategy.
Would this be the case if you hadn't been publicly shamed?
A 2019 report by Boston Consulting Group noted that only 3 of the 500 biggest US companies by revenue were led by African Americans. According to data from the Economic Policy Institute, in 2018, the average income for a white household in the US was $70,642, compared with $41,692 for African American families.
All right, so pretty much they'll pull out of their place, and there's one more video, and forgive me, because I know y'all talked about it, but they'll pull out their places and they'll give you diversity courses, and you know, it just shows you like how they feel. And then on top of that, you know, Starbucks is making money off of the Black Lives Matter, even though they're against it, but they're gonna sell a lot of t-shirts.
I have resigned as a member of the
I'm gonna play this last video.
I have resigned as a member of the Reddit board. I have urged them to fill my seat with a Black candidate.
Alexis Ohanian is married to tennis star Serena Williams, who is Black. But even without that personal connection, many in the corporate world are saying Black lives matter.
I'm saying this as a father who needs to be able to answer his Black daughter when she asks, "What did you do?"
So I ain't gonna lie, I low-key kept this video on there just because he said that. I just wanted y'all to see him say that, but it ties into the whole thing. But like, let me see what this dude just said again.
I'm saying this as a father who needs to be able to answer his Black daughter when she asks, "What did you do?"
Out of the 500 largest U.S. companies, there are just 4 Black CEOs, says Fortune, which ranks America's largest companies.
No justice, no peace.
Amid global protests, more corporations are now pledging to put their money where their mouth is. Apple is increasing spending with Black-owned suppliers. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced in a Facebook post that his company will be donating an additional $10 million to groups working on racial justice. Google CEO Sundar Pichai wrote that the company would give $12 million to organizations working to address racial inequalities.
There you go again, organizations working with racial inequalities. They're not specific about any of that, you know.
working to address racial inequalities. YouTube said it will use $100 million to fund Black content creators. And Bank of America pledged $1 billion over 4 years to address inequality.
When you see people taking to the streets like they did, you know something is happening, that this is the beginning of a movement. It's not business as usual. And I think businesses are realizing that, wait a minute, something different's happening here. And we can't just continue to do things the way we did before.
All right, I'm gonna stop it there though. But I just wanted to show y'all that because this is the way that we respond to what they do and compared to what it is, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, go ahead. We can go in the same order. Viral Drip, go ahead.
Just sound like a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Yeah, we stand with you, we support you. We just ain't gonna hire you. You know, it's the same old noise that means nothing.
Okay. MD2.
Yeah, corporations, for lack of a better term, are literally the owners that own and control whatever society that's at, because we depend on unfortunately, because we consume their products and we rely on the things that they do. Unlike Russians right now that don't care about these corporations, they have what is called a captive audience, i.e. Black folks. So what they do is they pander, for lack of a better term, to whatever the new narrative is that's out there. And that narrative right there was, okay, well, we'll now support you, even though, as Viral just says, we won't hire you. Irrespective, they know that they're going to go ahead and make sure that their bottom line is filled because of the fact that we rely on their products, unfortunately, because we have not, carried on what our ancestors did back in the days of Black Wall Street and before, when we made our own things and everything from shoes to our own oil to our own medicine. Now, all of a sudden, since we are completely 100% dependent on everyone else, whether it's the Starbuckses or the Nestle's or anyone else, unfortunately, they could do and say whatever they want because they know that they're just giving wolf tickets. Okay, and of course, because they have a captive audience that needs their products. Not that only needs, but 100% depends on their products. So the thing is I see right now, and like I said, unfortunately, as I see right now, is I see that that we as an African people, and I say Black folks in the United States in particular, are more not only needing those wolf tickets, but we'll fight to go ahead and give our lives to go ahead and have those wolf tickets. Here's what I mean. We are more, it's more of an importance. Our priorities are more toward at least getting someone to accept us through their words or through their or false, their false pretenses. We'll go ahead and give our lives for that, more than someone like Russia that says, hey, we want to get something done, we'll kill for it. Okay, it's something I've said from day one in terms of these so-called reparations and so-called equality councils and racial conversations or whatever. My thing is, if it's that serious for us, if it's that important, as I've always said, especially when I talk to reparations, first time I said that was back in 2007, 2008. I said, are you willing to die for that? Is it that serious that you're willing to die for whatever it is? And I'm not talking about some kind of civil rights stuff. I'm saying, if this is so important and what these corporations said, are you willing to go as far as Russia is doing right now? And are you willing to die? And better yet, I said this back on a radio show in 2007, are you ready to kill for it? Okay, Russians are ready to kill for whatever they got to get done because they feel that either there's a threat, whether it's a threat of someone trying to go on their borders or a threat of a corporation that's not hiring them, and only hiring 4% of you. And yet they're going ahead and profiting off of you. The thing is, are you ready to kill for it? Okay, are you ready to die for it? Or how far are you willing to go? Or are you going to do like most Black folk and just, have, racial justice commissions and, and discussions about race and all this other nonsense? So unfortunately, like I have to say, the corporation is going to do whatever they got to do. Okay, so I can go ahead and lambast them, excoriate them, or I could go ahead and talk like, how could they do that? But that's what they're there to do. Okay, these are not saints. These are exploiters and profiteers. That's what United Snakes is all about. The thing that I have to question is our mentality to not only not see it, but not take it to the ultimate conclusion to say, well, hey, if you're not going to go ahead and hire 45, 55, 65% of us, One, we will sanction you by not using your products. I know that many of us don't want to do that because we want to be quote unquote Americans, for lack of a better term, or we want to be quote unquote this mixing, melting integration pot. But the other thing is, not only I put it this way: if we want to take it to the ultimate conclusion, when the mafia was not getting folks hired, what did they do? They killed to get what they needed to get done. I know we're not of that caliber, clearly, but I'm just saying, I have to question our mentality more than I have to question the activities of a corporation. I'll pass the mic on that one for you.
Boy, oh boy, MG2. Hey, but yo, go ahead, into our Demela.
Man, you know what I see in that? Everybody posting YouTube finna get some money to people on YouTube. Oh, forecast, you ain't got no check. Facebook, you know what I see? White people taking black folks movement, and you know that's what black people gonna go toward. Look at all those companies they start talking about, start promoting and talking about promoting black businesses. Something that black people been talking about forever. But now that white people are saying it, the businesses that they prop up, the businesses that they support, the businesses that they prop up and say should be supported, those who our people going. That's what I see from all of this, right? Yep. They ain't gonna hire you. We the last hired. We the first fired. We the first fired. And still, through all of this, what do we remember? We have short-term memory through because this is nothing new. This is nothing new, right? This is nothing new. Everything we're going on now, you can talk about this in the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s. It was nothing new. When we talk about the past, go back to, we can start with Booker T. Washington. We don't talk about Tuskegee Institute as much because it's still standing. We talk about what's been burned down more, right? And I'm not knocking nobody, but I'm just saying, right? So watch this. How was Booker T able to get the money that he need to build those schools? Do anybody know? Booker T told white folks, we don't want to be around y'all. This y'all country, but y'all enslaved us. We gonna live and we gonna do for self. They created businesses. The businesses were able to run. They built that school themselves. All white people money, not trying to be around them. Go back and look at Mountain Bayou, Mississippi. People was not still standing. People, they were not trying to live around white people. This your country. We don't even want to vote in your country. We're gonna run our businesses. Them rich white folks didn't care about doing business with them. It was the poor white folks. Go back and look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. Because if we don't have money now, just think about it. If we don't have money now, they did not have money then. If we don't have money now, they didn't have money then. So who do you think were coming in there supporting those businesses? Rich white folks didn't care about giving you your money. Rich white folks did not care about giving them the money. They don't like you. They don't love you. They don't care about you. They wanted their work to be done right. And black folks was doing it right. And they didn't care about giving you your money because we were not trying to be around them. We talk about what everybody else has gotten from this country. Chinese, Asians, whatever they got, they remain Asian. Everybody who got something, they remained who they were. They didn't go out here and beg for integration. Let me sit next to you. I understand that was not the whole integration thing. But what I'm saying is, then we look at our people, the ones that was able to get, the ones that was able to build businesses. When we had thriving communities, it was the people who didn't want to be around them. I don't want to live next to you. We can do business together, but I don't want to live next to you. So when I talk about what we sacrifice, MG2 was just saying, when I talk about what we're going to sacrifice, then I say what we have sacrificed. We have sacrificed ourselves. We have when that woman said the little bit of black people should have, and that hate, that irks me when I hear somebody else say black people should have the same freedom. And black people just jump on board. Yeah, we should have the same freedoms that everybody else have. Okay. No, you shouldn't if you don't create it. No, you shouldn't want to be free. No, you shouldn't if you want to live next to the people that constantly doing this to you. Why do you deserve something? We would have had more freedoms if we had to decide to say, you know what, we don't want to live next to them. People can say what they want to say about my home. That's why one of the reasons I enjoy going back home to Mississippi, my little country, is I go in Mississippi. I was there for 4 days. I didn't see not one interracial relationship. Not one. My kids, when they were little, 9, 10, 11, they had to ask me, Dad, do any white people live here? Do any white people live around here? I'm like, yeah, we go up there, we'll see a few. When we go to the list and go to the Walmart, go up by the casinos and everything, you'll see a few. But we gave up, gave up our revolutionary mind. We even sacrificed our ancestors. We have sacrificed everything to sit under people that don't like you. So now is a new question. What are we still willing to, back to what I said before, what are we willing to sacrifice to get what we need? Ain't none there. You ain't gonna find many libraries according to where you at. I hear Mike.
Yeah, and I appreciate y'all brothers, because like, you know, y'all understand what I'm trying to do, especially MG2, you know, because I know you talk about this all the time and you could get way deeper, but y'all and Viral Drip and Bakari, that's exactly what I'm talking about, you know, how different people react. Now this, like I said, this is just the beginning, because like we can't get to the point of we know what to do. And I'm gonna go to the next part, and to be honest with you, I'm scared to show the next part because I might recruit some black people for Ukraine or whatever, but I'm gonna show y'all something real quick and get y'all response on this.
А папу оставили в Киеве. И папа будет продавать что-то.
I don't see not one tear coming down his
Будет
face.
помогать нашим героям, нашим войскам.
Okay, that's why he's pulling it out.
Будет помогать. Может, даже будет воевать. Мы шли где-то 3 часа, и вот вы нас спасли. Я думала, что мы уже будем идти эти 2-3 дня. Я бы думала, что мы будем идти целый день. Вот оказалось, что вы нас выручили.
All right, here's one more now. And you know, it's weird, like, why is this little boy walking down the street looking like that, crying? And that one person like, hey, little boy, let me help you. Oh, are you okay? What happened to your parents? Nothing. These little white boys just yeah, look at him walking with his head down. Look at him, like, come on, man. Everybody else just chilling. And he crying. Hold on, because they said some stuff in here.
Change my country. I didn't want to change my country to leave my country because we have a happy family, happy life. Now our family is separated, and also I hope that everything will be okay, but I don't know. They could do more only about to close the sky, that's all. But I think that all countries help Ukraine very much. Is very
Now listen to what she say.
I think help of other country is very important for us. Really, it's really good. But we really want that NATO close close Skype on Ukraine because Russia kill our children, our parents.
Russia kill her children, her parents. She want.
Many people really die now.
The split down.
I don't believe that. That's so small, not so little. I don't believe numbers of people. I think that people more die than
All right, I think that's enough of that crying. But I just wanted to show y'all that, and then the next one I'm gonna show you the energy they had a couple years ago. But this is the energy they had now, and I want to hear what y'all got to say about this. Go ahead, Viral Drip.
Man, I don't feel nothing because they don't feel nothing when we getting shot dead in the street. So, no, I don't feel nothing. You know, I saw these fans at the soccer game holding a sign talking about free Derek Chauvin, and nah, I don't have any tears for them, man. I'm sorry. You know, some people might say I'm cold, but it's a cold ass world.
All right, MG2.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys could correct me, I think that the Academy Awards the Academy Awards that they have this year.
I don't think that little boy was a good actor, though. To me, he wasn't that good. I wasn't convinced.
Okay, because I was gonna say if he doesn't get it, then the cameraman should get best cinematographer. Because I think it's in a couple of weeks. I think that they have the Academy Awards this year, and I think that best supporting actor might be that little Peckerwood, that little Derek Chauvin. Because you know what's going to happen when he gets to United Snakes and starts to go ahead and get the subsidies that black folks were denied. He's going to be Derek Chauvin number 2. And I didn't see anyone even other than the fact that, an out of tune so-called mulatto president decided to sing Amazing Grace when our child got shot down in a war. His name was Tamir Rice. And a lot of our folks, I guess they fell for the wolf tickets because their so-called mulatto president sung Amazing Grace. I might be wrong, but this is something that really is like, I'm really flummoxed. I'm really very surprised by our behavior as black folks, because Brother Bakari said this many a time, and he's talking about sacrifices. He brought up that term, sacrifice, and I'm glad he brought that term up. Here's what I mean. You have this degenerate, lowlife, intransigent Peckerwood in office by the name of Joe Biden. I mean, the worst of the worst. Crime Bill Biden. And he's talking about that we have to make sacrifices for freedom. And I mean, that's exactly his, verbatim, his words, the sacrifices. And I ask folks, are you willing to pay that $10 a gallon of gas for freedom? Okay, this quote unquote so-called freedom. I have to ask, when Brother Bakari has to go and get that diesel, and he has to go ahead and pay it, or Brother Viral has to go ahead and pay that exorbitant amount to go get food, are you willing to sacrifice to go ahead so this little Peckerwood can get an Oscar for crying over there somewhere in the middle of Ukraine? I mean, I'm just totally flummoxed at the fact that whenever they need something, the first thing they do is say, black folk, we need you to sacrifice for us. But that's what they're supposed to do, because I expect that out of the demon. The thing that really gets me is, why do we sign up in droves to go ahead and prove that theory? Our sacrifice should be for us to go ahead and sit on our hands and probably drink some vodka and say, hey, Russia, you missed a rocket. Go ahead and send one to Washington. Our sacrifice would be to say, hey, how can we profit on this, on the demise? Again, when two crickets fight, it's a joy to the crow, because that means the crow's going to eat a good buffet. So, in my thing, I'm saying, wow, it's about our mindset and our activities that really have me questioning things. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic on that.
Okay. Can I make a quick comment real quick about in the chat? Like Bear says, the U.S. says they're bombing the people. That's propaganda. What that is when you fire shots out your apartment window at Russian soldiers, expect some missiles or some shit to come right back at you. So, yeah, that's that's going on there.
Okay. Yeah, and it's on Bakari, but hey Bakari, what MG2 said about the crows, because he says that, but that remind me of that video you showed about the those two deer or antelope or whatever they were fighting while the lion or tiger or whatever it was coming up. But
You
yeah,
know
it's
why the
on you,
tiger is
Car.
hunting? They fighting each other. You can't see your enemy because you fighting one another. You about to be eaten. They're just like the crickets fighting each other for the crows. They can't see what's about to devour them because they're fighting each other. Oh, I'm sorry. They're just like African people, black people who fighting each other and can't see really what's going on here because of the constant infighting, especially in what they call today these YouTube streets. We can't see what's going on because we don't see what's going on because how we are constantly fighting one another, how much hatred we seem to show one another. So as long as we are constantly attacking one another, once again, I will say it, we have made a sacrifice. We sacrifice ourselves to be right next to be up under, to live with people that don't like you. And I'm going to say, I'm not saying anything about business because business is business. We're going to do business with everybody. There's a difference in a business relationship and personal relationships. But we have sacrificed who we are. We have sacrificed everything. So once again, I'm going to always go back to, are we willing to sacrifice for ourselves? We have sacrificed for them. You understand? We have fought in every war. I had two brothers go over in Saudi in 1990, right? I was my father fought in World War II, right? My father did. He fought in World War II. I was in, and they was asking us to go to. They was telling us we need to go to Kuwait, right? So me being who I am, I was still in, suited and booted. I told them I don't know anybody from Kuwait. I don't know no Kuwaitis. I was in. They told me, I said, I'm not going. I refused. My two sons didn't believe me until they met one of my old military buddies. And they said, what did your daddy tell them? He told them he ain't going to fight. He don't know nobody from Kuwait. This country wouldn't fight for me here. I joined the military for different reasons, not because I was in love with this country or I was in love with this military or wanted to be a part of anything like that. I was willing to sacrifice, and I'm not telling nobody to do what I do, but I was willing to sacrifice my freedom. And I enjoy the little freedoms that I have, right? But I was willing to sacrifice my freedoms for what I absolutely believed in. And one thing that I believed was these people have never done anything for us. They have never done anything for me. They don't even see me. You understand? They don't see us at all. But since they don't see us, it's time for us to not seeing them. And what I saw, if I go to Kuwait, somebody shooting at me. Why? I had nephews that had been and went to war, but I wasn't going. And I refused to go while I was in. What sacrifices are we willing to make for what we believe? I know we say be one, and we say all that. I say race first. People call me racist. I'm okay with that. I say I'm race first. That's how I feel. That's how I get down. I'm race first. That's what I always say, right? Race first. Be one. I'm an African, right? I'm all of that. I'm all of that. I'm all of anything that's going to go against what they made me. See, because I'm an African by blood, but I'm an American by force. So I have to keep my revolutionary spirit until my dying days, until I leave this earth. And I got about another 50, I got about another 60, 70 years left on here. And I'm going to have my revolutionary spirit until I go. I have to. And we have to have our revolutionary spirit, and we have to be willing to make sacrifices to make sure that we are okay. Our children are okay. Our women are okay. We have to go through and make these sacrifices. And I yield the mic.
Okay. Yeah. And now See, the thing is, like, at the beginning, right? I said, you know, black people generally have two expressions about this war going on. Either, well, it don't got nothing to do with me or whatever, or I'm gonna sign up and go fight, like the dude I showed up at the beginning. But we don't take the time to realize how we could benefit from this because you know, not only is the stores empty, and that's an opportunity for us to benefit for the black industry all the way from the top to the bottom, from the manufacturers to the trucking industry, you know what I'm saying, to the warehouses, to the stores, for us to be able to get our stuff together, you know what I'm saying? And not only that, with the gas prices and stuff that we've been talking about, but it's another way that it also affects us. And Bakari mentioned this before when he starts talking about, you think those Ukrainians ain't coming over here? You know what I'm saying? And I showed that energy because we see the energy they got right now where they crying, saying we need help. They're killing our parents and our children. Now, they've been killing our parents and children for hundreds of years, and the dude from Detroit going to go over there and help them fight. But, you know, he's not going to do anything in Detroit. But I want to show y'all in comparison to the energy they had just a few years ago. So I'm going to share my screen one more time, and then I'm going to let y'all comment on this. But I want to show y'all the energy they just finished having, and because they just told y'all they wanted Trump in office, so all y'all Biden supporters going over there for the, you know, Democrats and stuff. I don't understand because they just wanted Trump in. This that energy about to be coming to America. So I'm not gonna play all of this because it's kind of long. So just watch some of it.
It seemed like an odd way to spend a Saturday, watching the blood sports at a festival for far-right extremists.
Tonight, we try bold new.
See, it always set me up every time I do that.
This was the summer of 2019, and I'd gone to Ukraine to learn more about these groups. From the crowds, one thing seemed pretty clear about them. They weren't bothered by the fact that this event was organized by the Azov Movement, a far-right group that has increasingly been linked to violence around the world.
The shooter is linked to a 74-page manifesto filled with white supremacist rhetoric.
FBI agents say he expressed a desire to travel to Ukraine to fight with a far-right paramilitary group.
At least one member of an American hate group also trained in Ukraine with Azov Battalion.
According to the FBI, domestic terrorists killed 39 people in fiscal year 2019, making it the most deadly year for domestic terrorism since the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing.
The threat of white nationalism has evolved since Oklahoma City, where a domestic terrorist used a truck bomb to kill at least 168 people. Police don't tend to see such terrorists as lone wolves acting in isolation anymore. It's become clear to law enforcement.
Online with like-minded individuals overseas, and in some cases actually traveling overseas to train.
Over the last few years, experts in violent extremism have grown especially alarmed about the Azov Movement. The group emerged from the revolution that swept across Ukraine in 2014, and it has gotten a lot stronger amid the ongoing war with pro-Russian forces in eastern Ukraine. The fighting in that region has become kind of ideal breeding ground for militias like Azov. At their public events, one thing that surprised me was how many Ukrainians tend to see Azov not as militants or extremists, but as war heroes. In Kiev, the capital, I watched an Independence Day parade where veterans of the Azov Battalion marched alongside other volunteer militias, surrounded by cheering crowds, who thanked them for defending Ukraine against Russia. But even at the march, there were signs of the far-right ideology that's so common inside Azov. The symbols on their flags have been especially controversial. Azov says it combines the letters I and N for idea of nation, but extremism experts see it as an emblem of Nazism.
The official symbol of Azov, it's a version of Volksangel. It was one of the symbols of one of SS division during the World War II. It is one of more or less usual symbols for neo-Nazi groups all over the world.
And it's not just about their symbols. When it was founded in 2014, Azov drew many of its commanders and recruits from Ukraine's most notorious far-right groups, including outright neo-Nazis.
We basically recruited everyone who could hold weapons in their hand when Ukrainian state was paralyzed and the defense of Ukrainian state was totally in the hand of Ukrainian volunteers. So there were many war adventurers, guys who believed that they are on kind of ideological tour to save maybe the future of the West and so on and so forth. So
the future of the white race.
Or yes.
Azov's paramilitary wing is now a major fighting force, with its own bases and training grounds near the front lines of the war against pro-Russian forces. After the Veterans Parade in Kiev, I interviewed Andrei Biletsky, who founded the Azov Movement in 2014.
Воинское братство – это люди, которые не просто служили вместе проливали кровь, переживали гибель товарищей, сладость побед, охраны общественного порядка на улице. Мы создаем отряды самообороны, которые помогают поддерживать порядок.
Ми відпочиваємо, але навіть відпочиваючи, ми пропагуємо наші нові українські цінності. Бути сильними і сміливими, бути єдиними і відчувати братерство своєї нації.
What worries officials in the West is Azov's recruitment strategy. It's tried hard to build friendships with far-right groups around the world, especially in the US and Europe. During my visit in 2019, I spent a day at one of the biggest recruitment events in Azov's history. Thousands of people showed up for a day of fighting sports and blatant propaganda. There were neo-Nazi symbols, tattoos, and posters all over the place. And many in the crowd seemed pretty receptive to Azov's far-right ideology.
Бути толерантним про ЛГБТшникам – це не природне. Для цього треба людині промити мозки. Поважати своїх батьків, любити своїх дітей, пишатися за свою країну.
Robin, who just arrived in Ukraine from Sweden, where he told me he's wanted for hate crimes.
This is so hard to explain the surroundings for someone who's watching this. It's surreal. It's like I don't know. It's like something you read about the great Germany before. In the 1920s, it's a revival of the Indo-European soul, and it's all happening here in Ukraine.
Afterward, we rode back to the Azov base in northern Kyiv, where Azov commanders had allowed Robin to stay as a potential recruit.
We are Aryans, and we will rise again. That's the way of life, and after the war in Germany, we went back to the benches.
I would say look at the U.S. Army.
All right, so I just wanted y'all to see. Katrina, you're gonna have to come back later because this is stuff we talking about with Black issues. So you're gonna have to come back after we done all the screen shares. So but yeah, I just wanted to show y'all they had that helpless crybaby kind of attitude before, you know what I'm saying? And that's just a few years ago in 2019, that's the energy they had. So if you think that's not going to affect you, that energy is coming over here. And by the way, it's crazy how they was willing to unite with other people from around the world, regardless of ideology, and still have their internal beefs, but they're together against you. But go ahead, Byron Drip.
Yeah, I look on Facebook and Twitter and seeing all this pray for the Ukrainians, and sometimes I just want to slap the shit out of some Black people because they watch this mainstream media and they don't even know what the hell's going on over there. Because I think if they knew what was going on, they wouldn't be talking about praying for somebody like that. That's been like that for a while now. These neo-Nazis running around, and I don't understand how people can support shit like that. I guess I do because they don't know any better, but that's part of the problem is this need for mainstream media feeding them propaganda on a daily basis. And you're correct, they will end up over here in a neighborhood near me and you with money in their pocket, and give them a year and they'll be on CNN telling, or Fox News telling you how you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I came over here a year and look at me. You need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll yield.
Okay. And Katran, no, you don't have the right to opinionate on the topics when we talking over here. You don't. Maybe somewhere else. But after we done with the last screen share, I open it up or whatever. But no, you can't talk about black issues. So yeah.
Freedom of speech is not free over here, man.
Well, you can't. Well, he could say what he wants, but he can't talk about our issues. Well, I'm not gonna let him come in on those conversations. But when we talk about the Mexican stuff, we'll bring you on. But go ahead, MG2.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you played that because that's what I was talking about, this Azov movement. And keep in mind, if you go back to the 40s, or actually the 30s, the Ukrainians were actually Nazis. They were pro-Hitler. They were deeply involved in Hitler because they were against the Reds over there in the Soviet Union. Until Hitler started killing them off in droves, then all of a sudden they were like, I think we can be Russians again. This beef that they have goes back a long ways. The thing that gets me is what you showed right there, Brother Forecast. Their media, the same media that's telling you to support Ukraine, is the same media that showed that, hey, Ukraine is filled with neo-Nazis. Not only filled with neo-Nazis, but the leader of the Azov movement is in Zelensky's cabinet. He's part of his defense cabinet. So it's not like, this is some kind of fringe Proud Boys. This is when Trump said, stand back and stand by. Well, Ukrainians Proud Boys are not standing by right now. They're in the government, their government, excuse me. So the thing is, I have to question black folks' intelligence because here you have even the same media that's telling you, pray for Ukraine, we're all Ukrainians and all this other nonsense, is the same one that says, by the way, we're all white nationalists. So that tells you exactly what this so-called media is all about. And we're not just talking MSNBC, we're talking all of it. Not only that, but this is something that really makes me question black folks' intelligence. It shows you what the corporations that are now banning stuff in Russia are all about. Starbucks and everything else. Why do you think that you're only like 3% represented in jobs at Starbucks? Why? Because Starbucks is making sure that the Maidan, for lack of a better term, that the Azov movement can be successful against Russia. In other words, Starbucks is, again, sympathizing or at least in bed with the neo-Nazis. No different than McDonald's, no different than Pepsi, no different than Nintendo, no different than Nestle, no different than all these others. Again, when they talk, and I hear Brother Bakari say it a lot, speak with your dollars. These corporations are speaking with their dollars, and they're telling you who they back. No different than the same corporations that backed the blue when Black Lives Matter was up there running up and down the streets protesting, and they were handing out free pizzas and sandwiches to cops. Ain't no different. It tells us exactly. I mean, it's almost like I have to get to our folks and say, are we that simple-minded to not realize that the individuals that we give our dollars to, the individuals we give our time, money, energy, and everything else to, are clearly in bed giving the money that we give them, they're giving that money to neo-Nazis. They're the ones who are sponsoring, who are backing and funding Azov movement. So any dollar that you've given to Starbucks, Nestle, because anytime you go out and get a bottle of water, Nestle's hands are in it, because Nestle owns damn near, monopolized the water industry. Anytime that you go ahead and give money to something, whether it's Pizza Hut, whether it's, you buy something at Nintendo, it doesn't matter. Pepsi, it doesn't matter. You've got to realize that money you've given them goes to a white nationalist movement whose objective is to get rid of your black ass. So it just again, I have to really say, we as a people, if we're not really cognizant on how the far-reaching ramifications of this quote unquote so-called war, which I call a family squabble, because Ukrainians and Russians are the same folks. Ukraine is just the hood. If we're not geopolitically savvy to realize that this is not a localized thing, this is not just, okay, their media just likes it. No, what they're saying is, black folks, your days on this earth are not long, as Dr. Amos Wilson said. And I'll pass the mic on that.
Okay, yeah, and MG2, yeah, you see why I was like, yo, you was on point because I was gonna talk about that. But yeah, go ahead, Bakar.
You know what? When I see that, right? Well, first I'm gonna talk about this about Drip say when he sees stuff on Facebook. That's why I don't really do social media, right? And Forecast can tell you this. If it wasn't for Forecast, I've been shut my YouTube channel down the other day. Cutter talked to me about 5-6 months ago. Guy, man, you It's not because my channel is small. I don't care about that, right? I care about it bothers me to see how Black people carry on. So if I just pull away from it, I won't see how Black people carry on for a couple of dollars from white folks on social media, how they would treat their own on social media for a couple of dollars. I can't remember the last time I even looked at Facebook. I'm about to completely shut it down. I don't even look at Facebook. My Instagram is gone. The only thing that I have is this. And and every day I say I'm going to pull away from this. The people that I talk to will continue to talk. I've been trying to get people come on Team Black. Let's do emails. We can talk. Let's set up meetings. But that's the things that we have to do. So I understand his frustration with social media. Now, when you see these people from Sweden and Ukraine and everywhere else, the United States, all these white folks from around the world willing to work together to come against me and you, Forecast, Bio Drip, and MG2, come against us because of who we are, because of our race. For lack of a better term, I say our species of human, right? We the only pure Homo sapien. Our species of human, right? They want to come at us. They're going to come together. They're racist, and that is okay as far as I'm concerned, them being racist. What bothers me is Black people is not. See, we have to get away from the talking point what we can't be, because this is the rule of racism, and if you don't own and control this, you can't be racist. So I want people to understand, because we will say yes or no, Forecast. Wouldn't we say white people have always been racist for the last 3, 4, 5,000 years? Ever since we made contact with them?
Oh yeah, they've been.
So ever since we made contact with them, they've been racist. They didn't own and control Africa when we first made contact with them. They didn't own and control lots of Asia. You understand what I'm saying? They didn't own, the white Europeans didn't own and control Europe, Asia. The white people from around Turkey, the Ottomans, they have been racist forever, even before they got to the point where they owned and controlled everything. That's why they can own and control damn near everything, because they figured out, damn, it's best, even though we infighting, it's best if we stick together and we fight together. Now we can control all of this. So then they create a system here. People say white supremacy globally. I don't use the term white supremacy, Forecast, for my own reasons, right? It's globally because they stuck together globally. Black people right here say we can't be racist in a country in which we live, in the community or the neighborhood that we should control. We can't be racist because we don't have the power to own and control. We got the power to do what anybody else do. So them being racist don't even bother me. They got guns, shit, we can get them. They train, we can train. Eventually, we're going to have to stop bowing down. Eventually, we're going to have to stand up and say, you know what, we can do anything anybody else does. And if you don't want to use the word racist, because that might make you hate the white person that you work with or the white person you're cool with. I have a different definition of racism. I don't even hate white people, right? I don't even hate none of them. You understand? Because if I hate them, that's have too much control over me where I can't spend my time loving my people. I don't think about them. I don't think about other people enough. My whole goal is what we can do and how can we get in the game. And that's what we have to do. And if we get in this game, become players in the field and become players on the global field, and then if we start respecting ourselves and gonna respect from the rest, right? Don't nobody respect us. Like I said the other night, when they were pump faking in the South China Sea, everybody had something except us. We didn't send a canoe. We didn't even have a paper ship we could make and send and make like we might be able to do something. Now they're talking about, oh, this could create World War III. What people don't have nothing to protect them. We always have to depend on somebody else to protect us because you can't be racist. You can't do this. there's nothing we can do other than just be what we are right now. And for me, I don't buy that. Now, the people that say that don't mean I'm against them. We still brothers. I just see certain things different. And I learned something different to try to help me deal with the situation that me and my people is in, so I can build something big and strong for my kids and your kids and our youth and grandkids and great grand. So 100 years from now, when I finally leave this earth, we have done something that our grandkids and our great grands, they are living off our work, and they ain't saying what we can't do because we don't have the power. They saw us create the power, and they are continuing in work. And I yield the mic.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the last screen share. And yo, Bakari, and I brought that last part up because that's that energy that's about to come here, you know what I'm saying? That white nationalist stuff, because that's another way we're not even thinking about so far. And later, after we done with all of this stuff, I'm gonna let MD2, if he want to you know, like show how we can use it in our favor. But you know, let me show you this. Because this is the next group that's about to get you know, like a couple $1 billion off of our tax money, you know what I'm saying? So just this picture real quick, you know, and this was the cover to it, you know, it's 10 billion going to community college, but 2.7 billion going to black colleges. Tribes is getting 190 million. They're giving 11 billion to Hispanics and 5 billion to Asian Americans or whatever, you know what I'm saying, while we're preparing to go fight in Ukraine. But I saved this these last screen shares because it's pretty obvious about these ones. So we already know about these stuff. So I want to let me see. I think I got the wrong thing.
Reported throughout the evacuation effort.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Mostly they would consider white people first. White people first.
Yo, none of these had commercials on them before. I swear, like now that all of them got commercials on them. But so we already know about how they was treating black people over
there. They would
there.
consider white people first. White people first. Indian people, Arabic people, before black people. As long as you're black, no one likes you. I remember they punched a certain black guy, a policeman in Ukraine, punched a certain black guy for nothing. He was shocked for nothing. Yes, so like I said earlier on, they consider white people before considering black people. Yes.
And after that,
Philip, so glad you're streaming with us today as thousands of people out the evacuation efforts. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is now confirming to us that there are cases of discrimination in admitting refugees. One Congo native saying he was discriminated against while trying to board a train out of Ukraine. Take a listen.
They even told us, like, we are going to give you guns and you're going to fight for Ukraine. I said, hi, we're going to fight for Ukraine? We are not Ukrainian. We are black. So how can we fight? How can we fight for Ukraine? If we fight for Ukraine, we are going to die first because we are black. When they will see, oh, look at those black people. I think they are from they are from NATO. So we have to kill them first. So how could they think that way? Come on. Ukraine.
Wow. Our ABC News' Marcus Moore with us now for more outside that train station in Poland.
About what he said, Kira, that he and others endured as they tried to leave Ukraine. He is in Dnipro, or lived in Dnipro, which is just south of Kyiv. And at one point on the train that he was trying to get on with so many other refugees, he said that the guards there said that only women and children would be allowed to board the trains that were headed west. And that then they saw that there were white men who were allowed to get on, but that the people of color were barred from getting onto that train. And it was a moment of disbelief for him, and certainly one of frustration. And he said that he would have gotten it on video, how the guards were aggressive, he said, towards the people of color, if he had had the time. But in the midst of the chaos, it was not his first thought to record what was happening. But certainly, as you know now, there have been a number of reports of discrimination that have
It was clear. It was clear because we are black. That's why they were acting that way. Come on. We are black people in a white country. We already know the way that we're gonna act with us. So for me, it's nothing.
Wow, that's amazing. It's nothing. You know, I wonder how many.
All right. So yeah, so what y'all brothers think about that? Viral drip.
Yeah, you know, a lot of them believe that racism don't exist, and they learning the hard way. I was listening to a story earlier where a lot of the Africans were brought in years ago, and they was talking about the discrimination for years, and how a lot of them in that eastern part of Ukraine actually look for the Russians for help. Man, it was so many stories. Women coming up disappearing and shit. Organ, you know, the usual organ harvesting and all of that. And I feel for them, man. But that Ukraine is the place that I can't say I would care to even go to. This is even before what's going on now. A predominantly white country like that, nah, just not me, man. I prefer to be around my own people. You know, the area I'm in Ferguson, Missouri here, and you know, people look at this place as a negative, but it's actually not that bad. You can have crime everywhere, but I just feel more comfortable around my people, man. Yeah, it's I know it's tough what they going through, man. You see some of these videos and some of them getting the shit whooped out of them, and like, damn, I don't know, man. What can you do? You're trying to escape, and you go to the next country, and they don't really want you. Poland don't want you. Romania doesn't want you. What can you do? I yield.
Okay. Yeah,
No, it's
MG2.
not for me.
Yeah, MG2.
Yes. Anytime when a mouse goes into a snake's den, it knows exactly what the snake's intentions are. And if it doesn't, then that's a mouse that's done a lot of crack or molly. Okay, that's a mouse that is definitely high. The brother said it well. He said, look, we're in a white country. Now, I've been all throughout Eastern Europe. Okay, and I mean, all throughout there. Poland, you name it. You know, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Romania. And that, like Russia, and I'm going to say Russia included, and definitely Ukraine, is one of the most dangerous places in the world black folk could be. When I was over in Denmark, the week before I got there, neo-Nazis killed one of our brothers, an African who was a student. He was just doing his thing. When I was there in Denmark, I almost had an incident because two crackers were going to try to follow me out of a restaurant because I knew what they were about to do. This is what they do. When I was in Romania, I'll never forget, you know, folks were asking me, hey, you know, every time when I was in the work, when I was I never traveled alone. And I always had a peckerwood with me that was on the crew because I knew what time it was over there. The thing is I hear these individuals, there's a statement you say all the time, Brother Forecast, and you say, we're all we got. And that's why I yield to your brilliant wisdom every time, because you know, that's something that a lot of our folk don't realize, that we are all we got. And here's what I mean. one of the things that I've seen lately, especially because of this so-called, this family squabble called a Russian war, is I've seen what are Africans in the flesh, but not in the mindset. They're xenophobic individuals. They have titles like FBA and ADOS and everything else. And they're laughing about the fact that Africans are having a lot of problems trying to get away from these countries. Matter of fact, I hear the narrative from these, again, they look African, but they don't have the mindset or the soul. These individuals that are xenophobic, called ADOS, FBA, or whatever, Moors or indigenous, they're laughing and saying, well, they should have never been there in the first place. They should be back at their home. Those folks, them. Again, that's someone that's not really, very, very aware. Yet Ukrainians and Russians worldwide know who they are, irrespective of where they are. That's why they're going ahead, making sure that even the same media that's telling you to love Ukraine, they're going ahead and putting their dollars and their interest in that same media telling you to save Ukraine. But the thing that really gets me is a lot of these folks don't know why Africans were over in Ukraine. A lot of it was work, and most of it is because of students. These are individuals, Africans, who want to better themselves and better because of the fact that they might not be able to get that same level of what they call education or information at home. So they go to other places around the world and say, hey, I could bring that back to Kenya. I could bring that back to Nigeria. I can bring a lot of my knowledge back to my family. I saw brain surgeons, aerospace engineers, heart surgeons, burn surgeons. I saw Africans of all kinds of professions that were students that were there only to go ahead and better themselves. So when I hear these individuals, most of them in the United States, talking about, well, those Africans, they shouldn't. These are individuals that don't go to school. Matter of fact, many of them don't even know what a degree is. Even if you want to use that as value, they have no profession or no skill. So therefore, they'll throw the stones at other Africans. When Brother Bakari and Viral brought it up earlier about Germany, and this is something because they're both exactly right in what they were saying. They were 100% right. Here's what it is. Germany kept itself as a self-contained unit. What I mean by that, they were supporting themselves. They did everything because they knew, hey, wherever we are, we're going to be Germans. And that's where Viral Trip is 100% right. What they did, as well as what Brother Bakari is saying, is they went and made themselves a global German. They went ahead and said, look, Ford, he's a German, so he's going to support us. Even if Ford didn't live in Germany, he's going to support us because he's part of it. In other words, they think in terms of nationhood. They don't say our nation only ends at our borders. Our nation is worldwide. Us as Africans still have not gotten the message, gotten the clue. And I don't care how we get a clue. If we have to grow it out of clay or whatever, we better start getting a clue that even in Ukraine, they work as a unit no matter where they are. Or like like Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and we know who all said that, who came up with the term. The thing is if we don't, again, I have to go back to our mindset, okay, and what we're thinking. And what are, if we can't look at this as a benefit to tell us, hey, now we know exactly how the world runs. It's not this nirvana type of, blissfully unaware, fantastical world where, you can be an African here and maybe, sometimes you're not. I'm a so-called American or what, I'm a so-called Brit or whatever. Sooner or later, let's put it this way. What you saw over there, what happened to Africans, did it not happen over in New Orleans in September of 2005 when they called it Katrina? Were black folks, Africans, not running from a flood and getting shot trying to go over a bridge because the Peckerwoods over there were telling them, you're not part of us? What's the difference? Okay, there is no difference. Our folks just unfortunately have a tendency to forget that we all we got, as you say. And on that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, facts, MD200. Go ahead, Bakari.
The fact that he's standing there saying we shouldn't go to war, we're not Ukrainian, and he understands the fact that they're going to put him on the front line. So he need to understand the fact, you know what, maybe if we overthrow our government and put some real people in charge, we wouldn't have to go anywhere. The problem is we constantly run and look for other people to take care of us. What Icon 5 said on my show the other day, Africans some hoes. And he was talking about the Africans from the continent and the African leaders on the continent. Africans some hoes. And I'm just going to let you take it by whichever African you think I'm talking about. Here, there, everywhere. Africans some hoes. Because that's what we do. We do the same thing everywhere. Look for other people to do for us. And they ain't going to do it. They shouldn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had, let's say hypothetically, we were in Mississippi and it became our own country, right? Or Alabama. We got 3 states: Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, right? And a couple of white people come there running from their situation, and we let them stay there. You understand? And then war break out. You damn right, dude. Y'all got to fight. Y'all gonna get on the front line. Y'all gonna get on the front line. It's just that simple. It could have been some of the Mexicans that running from trying to cross the border and end up in our country. It's gonna be about 100 of them in one car. But had to take a shot at El Katrine because he in the chat talking shit. But they come to our country. The Mexicans gonna be eating tacos and burritos on the front line. And it's just that simple. When you go into other people for other people to take care of you, when you leave in your own space, we have to get to the point where we're gonna have to stand up. Violence have ruled this country for a very long time. Violence have ruled the world, the whole world, for a very long time. We can remain extra spiritual. We can remain, say, though we are not like that. We can continue to say that. We can either keep taking the violence and complain about it, or we can defend ourselves, which is not violent at all. But violent attacks gonna always happen. Violent attack ain't them always beating you. The violent attack is taking your money, putting you in a situation where you got to give your money to everybody. You understand? The violent attack is look at us socially. There's been a lot of violent attacks. The propaganda all over the TV. It has controlled the world forever. So now it's time for us to start using that same propaganda so we can start controlling ourselves, controlling what we want, controlling the things that we need, so we can benefit ourselves as African people. And now I get the mic.
Yeah, straight up, God. See, yo, what people don't understand, and I be joking when I say that, because I'm not about all the oppressed people around the world. And I'm pretty sure I know El Catron is used to, black men saying, oh, yo, this ally, let's go hold hands and, what I'm saying kumbaya and stuff like that. But like I said, when we talk about our issues, we talking about our issues. So I'm going to show one more video and I'm going to let y'all go around because I want to ask y'all a question. But I forgot to share this one. So I'm going to share this one. And I'm not going to play it long. It's just only like a minute or so of it. All right.
They're not letting her go. Is it right? Is it right? They're not letting the black girl go. 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 They're not letting the black.
So many of us have been reporting to the BBC, with nearly a quarter of them from Africa and more than 20,000 from India. Now, as Russia creeps across the country, thousands of these students have attempted to flee to safety, only to be caught in the grips of racism.
We still have people trapped, like in Sumy in Ukraine. There are students, thousands of them trapped because the bridges have been destroyed by bombs and everything, so they can't move. They are trapped there. No more food, no more water. So how are they going to feed? How are they going to survive?
But we told them, we are pushing African women out of the train, and you were also pushing South Asian women. What do you mean by women and children? Do you mean that those women are not qualified to get into the train? So we started protesting about that. We started shouting that you're not letting the black women get in. And they told us that another train is going to come, that the next train that comes, we allow them to get in. So we said, okay, the next train came in again, and they started doing the same thing. We have to block the road to the door, and started shouting before they allowed the African women. Then there was a train that came again. The train was going to Warsaw. I and my friends get in. They called the police on us and told us to get out of the train. And we asked them why. They said the train is mostly for Ukrainians. Okay, when we got down, we didn't see them checking passport because we know there are some black people with Ukraine passport. They were selecting only white people. They were not checking passport. Then we started protesting again. Finally, we got the train in the night and got to a city that has border with Poland, which is called Lviv. Then in the Lviv, most.
Well, I mean, so I'm not gonna play this whole thing because y'all know the story and how they treating them over there. But and even in that situation, he talking about the Asian people and the Yo, Bill Gates, my brother, what up? But you talking about the discrimination that Asian people face. That's what I'm talking about. We always got this hold hands attitude. You know what I'm saying? But so I'm gonna let y'all talk about that video right there. But I also want to ask y'all and you, Biodrip, and MG2, you two especially, because you know, I understand like you was breaking it down, not going deep, but like, how do y'all feel like this war? We could use this war to get the things that we need to get done, or how could we use it for our benefit? So, you know, if you want to talk about the video and that question, you know, go ahead, Biodrip.
How can we use this war? For one thing, we could use, you know, Dr. John Henry Clark used to always say, we have no friends. And that is a perfect example of it. I really feel that whatever country a lot of those Africans are from, they really need to do something to get their folks up out of there. Because if they depended on the West or the countries over there to have a moral conscience, it's just not going to happen, man. It's just not going to happen. Me and you know better. I don't know why they don't know better. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, MG2.
Yeah, first off, I got to thank Lightbearer because I saw something very early in the chat that she was at the gym. So as the conversation was going on tonight, I was doing burpees and ab rolls. I was doing an entire core exercise tonight as I'm listening to you guys. And Lightbearer, you were the inspiration. But
That
I
was
wanted to
at the
put that out
beginning
there.
too. That was at the beginning, MG2.
Yeah, I've been working out since the conversation. After I saw her put that in there, I was like, because when I hear Africans talk, it inspires me to get into warrior mode. So I start working out and I start doing stuff. You know, it gets my mind sharp and my body ready to fight. And one of the things is I noticed that you have a Mexican guest that's out there, and I'm pretty sure they'll understand this. But I wanted to ask them, you know, ¿cuál es tu interés en esta conversación de los negros? Lo siento, mi español es poco, ¿por qué es su interés conversación solamente negros? Es confundir, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué? Lo siento, mi pronunciación es poco, but I wanted to ask your guests that, and answer that in English for me if you can. You know, in other words, what's your interest in the conversation of Black folks? You know, that we're talking about something that has nothing to do with Mexicans. I just want to know why. But anyways, what I wanted to do is I'll break it down into how we can use this, okay? And I have to, because we have individuals you know, that listen to us that are not Black, I have to make it very ambiguous because I don't want to give my war strategy out to everyone. But one thing that I can tell you guys is right now, because of the fact that what this is actually is showing, as Viral said so well, we have no friends. Dr. John Henry Clark, and not just physically in terms of emotion, we have no friends in terms of even governance, even banking, even, you know, you name it. We have no friends. Look at what happened to the so-called director of Black Panther earlier today. I think it was in Atlanta, maybe. Might have been either Atlanta or something, you know, at a bank that was staffed by Black folks. They took him for a robber and he was detained by cops. So it tells you as a people, you know, and this is the so-called, you know, director of Black Panther. I don't know if it was a hoax or whatever, but it just tells you.
Oh, it was real.
Yeah. Even in this so-called society, that we have no friends even in banking. We have no friends even in education, so-called education. You see all the Black children and what they're going through. So,
and the worst part about it was a Black person that called the police.
Exactly.
I don't know where they're from, but I know it's a Black immigrant.
Well, whether it's an immigrant or not is immaterial for me. What it is it tells me that I'm almost sure that same Black individual went ahead and probably saw Black Panther. So what it is just telling us that we're in a society that's very unfriendly to us because of the fact that it's proven itself for 2,000 seasons, like the book 2,000 Seasons. It's proven itself very unfriendly to African, or Black people. Even if it's within ourselves. But here's the thing. These are ways you can win. I'm always looking at how we can win. And I can't give up too much because, again, And again, for El Catran, los otros muy interesados para su conversación para negros. So it's muy importante para, ¿cómo se dice? For us to be very, very ambiguous. So anyways, the thing is that I want to say is, when I say we have no friends, now think of this so-called administration that's here right now that knows that they're supporting individuals or a so-called society that's against black folk. We call it the Azov Movement, we call it Ukraine or whatever. Now keep in mind, this administration was put in because of the aspirations, not necessarily, it was not black folks that put them in, it was just aspirations that black folks thought that they put this administration in office. What did they do for you? Well, and I'm not talking about promises. I'm talking about the fact of interest. What did they do or not do? George Floyd bill, nothing. Voting rights bill, nothing. HBCUs losing money, nothing. Didn't stack the so-called courts, nothing. The thing that happened to the Haitians, nothing. The bill that was supposed to go, or that injunction that was supposed to help black farmers, nothing. The so-called Department of Justice going against the young mulatto that got killed recently, nothing. It's giving money to other races, i.e. during the so-called Asian hate, and yet you don't get a nickel, but you have to get shots and a jab in order to work. Nothing.
You got crack pipes.
Exactly. They give you crack pipes. Thank you. So this is kind of telling you we're in an unfriendly environment. Thank you so much, Viral, because it's so important for us to realize that where we're at, and especially when we're talking about a technology. Here you have Google, Facebook, TikTok, all of them are now trying to find out how they could support this so-called neo-Nazi movement. Okay, keep in mind, they're talking about pulling the plug on their services in one measure or whatever. The reason they can't normally do it is because of the money they make off of data. They can't completely pull themselves out, but at least they're going in that direction, saying, how can we use our infrastructure to hurt Russia and support these neo-Nazis? Yet, it's us who get videos banned and put on 2-week timeouts because we say something about against the jab or against some heckle with some hook-nosed bagel eaters. So this kind of tells you that we're in an unfriendly environment as black folk, irrespective of how we want to dice and slice it. There are ways we can win. When I brought up black farmers, for instance, and I'm not just talking in the United States, I'm talking worldwide. We have arable land that we can grow things, especially things that are very important. Whenever there's a problem and there's a vacuum, if you're not there to fill that vacuum, then whatever happens to you is justified, and I'm not talking in a good way. Whenever there's a vacuum, for instance, because of the fact that they're at war, there's definitely a vacuum in the energy markets. That's why the United States is on their knees going to Venezuela to say, let's do a prisoner swap, so therefore we can make some deals in oil because we're in trouble. Anyone that saw those two detainees that Maduro handed back over to Biden, one of them was an oil executive. Okay, so it kind of tells you, yes, the United States is on its knees. There was a vacuum being created. So here's the thing. Not only can you fill it with energy markets, but we all know aluminum, or what they call aluminum, that's what we call it, but aluminum, of course, is at all-time prices, all-time highs. Why? Because of the fact that, of course, there's a vacuum in those markets. Not only that, but one of the biggest things, and I use it all the time, is sunflower oil. Did you know that sunflower oil, 80% of it comes from Ukraine and Russia, and yet it's off the market? Well, let me tell you something. You can manufacture and make the same thing over there, whether it's Cote d'Ivoire or even in Kansas. If you're black, you should be thinking in terms of how can we go ahead and fill that vacuum? If we can go ahead and grow something for Asians, or grow something for like Chinese, or grow something for French or something over in Africa, why can we not grow sunflower and make sunflower oil? So therefore, instead of 80% of the exports going in from, or the exports going from Russia and Ukraine, because now it's halted, why are we not going ahead and filling that vacuum up? Not just that, technology. We are in someone else's technology. Keep in mind that you have the YouTubes, the Facebooks, and the TikToks. When I hear Negroes say Facebook jail, it makes me want to go ahead and take a dump, because this is owned by somebody this degenerate Mark Zuckerberg. We should not be sitting there thinking, oh man, they put me in a jail. That means that you are still an enslaved Negro. We have black folks right now like Ben and everyone else, Ben Uko, that are developing their own platforms. Did you know that those platforms not only are for quote unquote social media? Did you know that Gab, Rumble, Connect FX, even Trump's Truth Network? Do you not know that those are also platforms for communication for business? to go ahead and take up the vacuum for these industries? Do you think these peckerwoods that'll be on the Truth Network are going to be talking about N-words all the time? No. They're going to be saying, okay, while they're over there on Facebook and YouTube bickering about, ADOS or FBA or something else, we're going to talk about how we can manufacture something and we can take up that vacuum for sunflower oil or for aluminum or for wheat or whatever else that's off the markets right now. Unfortunately, as Africans, we're still enslaved in our minds because everyone else is our interest except for us. And when I say everyone else's interest is that, what are we going to do? Look what they did. They, them, they, them. No, what it is saying, look, the fact that they're fighting has given us opportunity. It's given us massive opportunity. I talked about technology. I talked about the vacuum of energy, resources, textiles, wheat, or whatever. Did you know that there's also a vacuum in security? A lot of us might talk about guns, this, and that, and the other, but security is not just going ahead and securing your, I've got a couple of guns and I'm gonna secure myself. Security also has to do with cyber. It also has to do with food. It also has to do with information. Did you know that there's a vacuum with that? And a lot of that, a lot of our folks aren't even thinking in this level. When I'm talking about security, I ran the thing the other day with a Kaspersky, and I was showing you guys how all the hacking is going around the world. Did you know that 90% of these developers and engineers come out of those areas in Eastern Europe that are like, I'm not just hackers, but I'm talking those that actually go ahead and reverse engineer and actually program. Our folks are more consuming and not producing. When I say producing, where are our software engineers and programmers that are saying, dang, I can go ahead and fill this vacuum and create an industry. Now they have to depend on me and not an East Indian or not a Ukrainian to go ahead and fix their problem. Now I have the codes, I have the secrets. Now I'm in charge of whatever happens through them. But our folks are so 900%, 1,000% dependent on, like Dr. Amos Wilson said, waiting for what are they going to do next. It's mindless. And I don't want to be mean to us, but I got to be real. I got to really question our intelligence. Not only is there an opportunity there, but did you know there's an opportunity in the so-called media even of itself, filling a vacuum there? I mentioned many a time, this so-called media has created a vacuum. You see their hypocrisy. You see their duplicity. You see the fact that they talk in one hand and then they shit in the other, excuse my language. Do you realize that that vacuum has been created and nobody has even filled it yet? And when I say the vacuum's created, Russia, whether it's Russia or whoever else, or CCTV in China, or whether it's Telesur in Venezuela, or whether it's the Maidan, I can't remember the name of their station, or NHK in Japan, or whatever, they're only, the talking points that they're going to give are the talking points that are going to be of the interest of whatever nation state is either for or against Russia. But as Africans, we live in the belly of the beast no matter where we are, even in Africa, because other nations own and control our resources there because clearly they're profiting on it. So if we're living in the belly of the beast, and I saw something earlier today, and I can't remember what it was. It said, and I think it's an African thing that was, whoever's ensnared in the belly of the beast has more opportunity than that who's snared in their tentacle. And that, I'm just paraphrasing. It makes a lot of sense. If we're in the belly of this beast, who do you think, in terms of media, could go ahead and show the duplicity and the hypocrisy and use that as an advantage to get resource, money, security, information, or whatever else from the rest of the world? We live in the belly of a beast, and a lot of us don't think that way. We're continually looking to try to see how we can be accepted, loved, needed, admired, respected, acknowledged. They made a Black Awareness Month. Starbucks is going to hire a few more of us. Or Google, they said, well, they were wrong. They proved themselves that they're going to do right. No. When you live in a belly of a beast and you see a vacuum in terms of media, you've got the secrets. Why are you not profiting on those secrets? Every one of us should be, contacting ministers, finance ministers, education ministers, foreign ministers of other countries, of enemies of our enemy, contacting and saying, look, this is the propaganda they're doing to you, but I'm Black and I live here and I can tell you more. Do you not think that they're not going to pay you for that? Do you not think that they're not going to put you on their media, at least to go ahead and say, see, this is coming from the folks that built this so-called country. If we're not willing to use our strengths and the things that we have to fill that vacuum, because we are loaded with strengths as Black folk, we got all the secrets. If we're not willing to use it, then we're going to go ahead and die by those strengths. And those strengths are going to end up strangling us more than it strangles our enemy. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic on that one.
Okay. All right, and it's on Bakari, and I'm gonna put the link in the chat for anybody who wanna come on and talk about the topic. Yeah, it's on you, Bakari.
You're going to have to ask that question again, man. My daughter came here talking to me while you was asking the question.
I was just saying, it was about that video about the it was about the video I just showed about the
How
brother.
can we benefit off this war?
Right, and yeah, how can we benefit? Use this war to benefit ourselves.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I all honesty, I say I don't know, but I think it's. I'm being honest, man. I don't know. I don't know the answer to how we can benefit off that war. I would say we could benefit off the war if the war make it this far and burn this motherfucker down. Pardon my French on your channel, because this should have been to the
It's
ground.
coming.
We just didn't know. We just didn't want to do it. So how can we benefit? MG2 give the answers to that, really. So I ain't gonna try to answer that question. By Drip gave you an answer. I don't know. So I got to look into it more before I don't want to sound crazy. And I hear the mic.
All right. So that's all you wanted to say about it. In that video about they was pushing the girl off the train, you want to talk about that or what the dude was saying?
Yeah, pushing the girl off the train, shit. That's everywhere. That's everywhere we go. For me, for stuff like that, it gonna always come back to the same thing, man. It's simple. It is simple. Stop looking outside of yourself to be saved. Ain't nobody gonna save us but us. We all we got. And if we have not figured out that we're all we got, that's a problem. But once again, they are not the problem. And I mean that, right? When they created the problem, right? We are the answer. What they are doing and what people do to black people around this world, right? We the problem because we haven't changed what we do. We haven't changed not trying to fit in with them. Now we will go ahead and fight one another. We'll fight one another to the death. I'm an Abos, I'm FBA, I'm ADOS. We ain't no Africans. We ain't this. We ain't that. We gonna go all the way back. But whoever, everybody in this world is doing what they're supposed to do. I'll leave it at that. They brought you here. They took us around the world, or whatever, however we got there, and we've been at the bottom. And they do everything in their power to keep you at the bottom. They are not supposed to give you a ladder to pull you up. That's just a fact. We can call them racist. We can call all the derogatory names that we want to call them. But at the end of the day, they in control. At the end of the day, they're not supposed to drop a ladder for you to climb up so you can be equal to them. You understand? When we were talking about the things we got, I even put in the chat. I say reparations, Asians, Bosnians in the 90s who ain't nothing but Russians, the Afghans who ain't nothing but Arab, them little Guadalupes at the border, now the Ukrainians who ain't nothing but other Russians, and the Jews over in Israel. They have gotten black people reparations. They give you, if black people was gonna get some reparations, they can look and see where their money have gone. They can look and see where the reparations have gone and who have their reparations. We have to just come to the conclusion that ain't nothing gonna be given to us, and we're gonna be treated this way everywhere. And the only way it's gonna stop is if we stop it. You can't ask the people who doing this to you, go to his brother. Will you tell your little brother to stop picking on me? I'll talk to him. They ain't gonna never hold that conversation. Will you tell your other brother to stop picking on me? Will you tell your other brother to stop picking on me? Will you tell your cousins to stop picking on me? Will you tell your other cousins to stop picking on me? If we ain't figured out, it ain't worked. We'll get out there, we'll march, we'll chant. We'll even say Black Lives Matter. We'll say hands up, don't shoot. We'll walk around with a shirt that say I can't breathe. I won't, because I can breathe. And it's my goal to make sure that you all continue to breathe. We can't let that always be our rallying cry. Well, we have gotten killed. Then when we get killed, that's the biggest economic stimulus package in the damn black community. a black person die, they're gonna make a shirt with a whole lot of names on it. Bam. People making $20,000, $30,000 a month within about they're making $20,000, $30,000 in about 2 months, 3 months, just from selling t-shirts with a whole bunch of black names on it and faces on it who been killed by the police, waiting for the next one to get killed by the police. So we can make some more t-shirts. Let's add another name to the list. Now, the people that have to change is us. Stop trying to change them. We have to change ourselves. I hear the mic.
All right, and yo, shout out to my brother Time to Work. Lightbearer just came on. Y'all, how you doing, Lightbearer? What's going on?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Forecast? Thank
I'm
you.
good. I'm good. Yeah. So, what you got to say about everything?
I got to say is that we should be making moves now. We should be the change. We should be, we should be the change. We have to be the change. Everything Bakari said, it sticks. It is what it is. We have to move. You know, we can't miss opportunities. There's so many opportunities that we missed out on. It's just this time that we make some changes around here. We rearrange things, turn the trajectory around. I did a video earlier, a message to Africa. And, I sent it out. And I just think that there's a lot of, like MG was talking about, Garvey was talking about, our over here, what we need to be concerned about is we got to make sure our food supply is good, medical, and our security, just like he was saying, all those things. We got to make sure those things are in place for us, because Black people all over the world right now, this is the opportunity for us to take our independence. I see it. And Africa is in a lost place. They know not what the whole picture looks like from our point of view. You know what I'm saying? From our perspective over here. And we do understand what they deal with over there because of all the years of colonialism and, but it was something different that they went through versus what we've been through. That got them believing in this false spirit, this false energy called humanity. And it works in the favor of our adversaries that we know too well over here, that they don't know that well. And it's just a lot of work. It seems like a lot of work, but I know, I believe, I don't believe, I know there's a better, higher energy that is going to make things work in our favor. So I never ever run around feeling hopeless about our situation. I feel lots of hope. I feel a lot of motivation. I feel like we're in a good place. and a good time, that we're going to get victory. But we need to take these opportunities, because only we going to save us. No one else is going to save us. I don't see why we why we give our power away. These people are terrified of us coming to the realization of who we really are as a people and rising up. So, like I said the other day, I don't care what this devil thinks, whether they think I'm a threat or whatever. I'm supposed to be a threat to the devil. That's the way that works. I can't no longer, run around trying to be something that only works for their benefit. We have to come out of that, being concerned for whether you're going to be a threat. You're supposed to be a threat. You're supposed to be a threat. And I yield the mic.
Okay, yeah, and thank you for coming on, Lightbearer. And so the last question I'm gonna ask to y'all, and let me say this, because we talked about how we could benefit, because like the stores being empty, we could do more to promote Black businesses and like support each other, because we're gonna have to do that, all of that. But and really all of this was just like a kindergarten course on how wars are fought, like propaganda, you know, just everything, and then like what our alliances are, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate all of y'all because y'all understood exactly what I was saying. So like, I I just want, but I do want to ask y'all, you know what I'm saying? So like, just a little bit of the the college course part of it, you know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to benefiting us, right? Do y'all feel like, like the war that's going on, right? Like we could use whatever we have, because like, we have no friends. We all agree on that. So, could we play like that middle instigator, man, that goes into like Russia and like, yo, I do know this about America, you know what I'm saying? And then go to like Joe Biden, like, look, if you're not willing to work with us and do this, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna side with Russia and help them do, just things like that, to elevate ourselves, to use especially their tribal wars or their tribal beefs to benefit us, because we see it's going to harm us when we look at the gas prices and the food prices and the stuff that's in the store. I mean, it looks like we're going to have to do something to protect ourselves. Should we use the position that we have, right? Especially as Black people globally, but especially in America, the Black people that we have, and use that to instigate certain things, so that like an example, like how Queen Nzinga used certain tribes or whatever, and she instigated beefs so that they would fight each other to give her an advantage. Do y'all think that is possible for us? And if so, do you think that we should do it? And you can elaborate. So we're gonna go viral Jip, MG2, into our Demela, then Lightbearer. So it's only viral Jip.
What was the question?
Like should we like use the like we understand, like like the stores are empty and stuff like that, and that's a way that we could use it to help us, but like just playing the middleman, like like talking to like not having such an alliance to America that we won't be like, yo, Russia or Ukraine or whatever, you know what I'm saying? We have this information and we willing to work with y'all, or go to Biden like, we won't work with y'all unless y'all are willing to do this. Should we use the position that we have as Black people, especially in America, just speaking on us, but Black people globally, should we use that to like kind of instigate more stuff with them so we can use it to our advantage? And if so, like,
yeah,
how
we
can we do it?
gotta use everything we got, I would say. But our main thing is, I think we need to get back to what's the word? Farming and producing our own clothes. John Henry Clark spoke on that, called it nation building. Say, anytime you dependent on someone else for anything, you can be thrown back into slavery. And I agree with that. We once formed this land, and I think we should get back to it, producing our own foods, trading your foods with others for things you need, making your own clothes. Let's stop worried about the new pair of Nike or whatever else comes out. We need to get away from that, all that materialistic thing that's only enriches someone else. Working, a lot of us work these jobs for years, and you're basically just making someone else rich. Get back to the land, build. I think it's a lot of things we could be doing right now, but with this, with the price of everything going up, that ride sharing might be a good thing to start again, because whoo, man, that gas bill, not just, like I said, not just gas. Gas go up, everything go up, and like MG2 was saying, petroleum, man, they use petroleum to make everything, food. It's in everything, computers. So yeah, it's a lot of things we could be doing, but definitely, like you were saying, use it as leverage. These politicians, we're not rocking with that. We're not supporting that. Whatever else agenda you got, if it's not so specifically dealing with us, we don't want to be a part of it. We're not going to vote for these politicians. And it's been slowly going that way since Obama rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. He got in there 8 years and didn't do nothing. Nothing changed for us. In fact, we probably went backwards when he was in office. And after he came out, a lot of people feel a different sort of way about this voting. And I've stopped saying that black people voted Biden in, because I don't believe that he got the most votes in history. I'm not that naive, Now I'll yield the mic. But
Okay,
definitely start creating on our own, man.
all right. Yeah, all right. So
I'm sure, Bakari, you know a little bit about farming, right?
I got family that farm. I got family that farm.
Both my grandpas was in farming. My uncles, yeah.
All right. So MD2, you understood the question, like without saying too much, you understand what I was trying to say, and just a little bit, because we in kindergarten and stuff, but just a little bit of the college course that we could be looking at, even though it might take another 400 years to get there.
It's all good, brother Forecast, because I'm right there in the kindergarten with everyone. First off, and I'm glad you said, without saying too much, because it looks like this El Contrain or whatever is still in the chat and never answered my question. ¿Cuál es su interés en los negros? And never answered that question, but it is what it is. The thing is, and I'll make it very, very ambiguous because of the fact that it's not an African conversation right now, because we've got others in the chat. One of the things is I think not only should we be, not only as Viral said, use it as leverage, we should do everything we can to use it as a threat. And that yours truly always says, everything that you have in nature, everything you have in life should either be a weapon or a tool. And this is one of the instances, and I'm glad Lightbird brought it up earlier about being a threat to the enemy. Because anytime you have an enemy, if you're not that threat to the enemy, then you're a threat to yourself. And I am a black identity extremist. Okay, some folks might even call it terrorist. Well, I don't care. Call me what you want. The thing is I'm that threat. I'm that thing that goes in that they have to go ahead and keep their eye open every night. I'm not some kind of movie called Nat Turner just for the fact that it makes us feel good. No. When I walk down the street, they know, hey, he might go off and do something that might end up on television that they said they've never seen a human being go through that kind of pain before. That's the mentality I walk out the house every day. That's in my mind. That somebody's going to endure pain by my hand. That's the threat that you have to be. That's the mindset. And when I say that, not just physical threat, I'm talking even in governance. When you can use instances like that as leverage, you're actually telling them, well, it's not a thing of like, we're not going to vote for you. It's a thing of like, we're going to vote for everyone that will make sure your agenda doesn't go well. Not only that, we will go ahead and make and make communications with Iran, Russia, Syria, North Korea, and everyone else, and strike up bilateral trade and security deals. We'll go ahead and strike up trade. We'll go ahead and strike up conversations. We will meet with their foreign ministers, not only for leverage to get what we want out of you. It's to actually punish you, United States, and anyone else that's a part of that that's an enemy to us. It's to use this thing right here. I mean, this is the best opportunity we have right now as Black folks, and in particular in the United States, to go ahead and be the real Black identity extremists that we should be, like Robert F. Williams was back in the day, or Brother Khalid Muhammad, or Malcolm X, or Medgar Evers, or whoever else is. This is our perfect opportunity to go ahead and say, look, we don't do it for ourselves. You know, we don't care about what anyone thinks, what they say, what they do, what they feel. It's about what we do, what we feel, what we think, what we say that matters to protect us. I hear a lot of Black folks that are what I call on the fence. They're fence sitters. And what I mean by fence sitters, I've heard a lot of them, most of them the so-called ADOSs and all the others that are saying, no, man, you know, I'm just going to sit this one out and watch them fight, man. If we get involved, man, you know, we're going to go bad. You know, I'm just going to sit on the fence. Man, this is between them. That's their thing. Let me tell you something. This is how foolish and how cowardice our folks really are. When they make those type of comments, what it's saying is, I would rather go ahead and have the status quo, because once white boys figure it out, then I can go ahead and hustle and make backdoor movements or whatever kind of nonsense that they talk about. As long as you're subjected to your enemy, which all Africans are, because we don't own and control and manufacture or the production or even the premium or the collection of royalties from all the things they steal from us, whether it's hip hop or whether it's coltan. We don't get that. Everybody else profits on it but us. As long as we're subjected to that, we are not sitting on anyone. We're not sitting on a fence. Okay, we're in the belly of a beast. And if you're in the belly of a beast, you better want to give it E. coli instead of wanting to go ahead and nourish it. Anyone that talks about sitting on the fence, they nourish that beast because they don't want to do anything to make that beast die. Well, if they die, we die. But damn it, Negro, get out of its belly. You know, that's just common sense. But a lot of our folks in that cowardice, that mode of cowardice, and that mode of just, well, I don't want to, you know, that's between them. What that's saying is they want us to remain subjected to everyone else in the world. They want us to remain making sure France would go into Africa and just run, you know, and make Ghana have France as a second language, or let the Russians go ahead and grab the coltan that China didn't grab. They want us to remain getting knees on our necks or getting shot down like Tamir Rice or getting hung in a cell like Sandra Bland. They want us to remain making sure we don't get the jobs, or worse yet, that the gas prices that go up make Brother Bakari have to pay double because he's Black, and a Ukrainian can go ahead and do what they want. They want us to remain in that cowardice state. They want us to remain as slaves. There is no sitting on a fence in this war, okay, or this conflict between two crickets, okay? The thing is, the crow can eat one cricket after the next. It doesn't matter as long as he eats them both, okay? So the crow he can sit on whatever side it is. It just depends on which cricket he's going to eat first. That's the mentality. And when I say that, and here's a good case in point, China, for instance, is involved in this thing, even though it might not have to do with them. Of course, they're part of the non-aligned movement, i.e. they're closer to Russia than anyone else. But China's still saying, look, we're going to get our hands in this because we have to go for Chinese interests. France, Macron has met with Putin, 5 times now, even though nothing has happened. But Macron knows, hey, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that France is going to be playing in this war too. Why? Because France is looking for French interests. Venezuela, irrespective of the fact that the United States has been trying to kill Maduro like 10 times in the last year, they've been from coups to assassination plots. Maduro's like, hey, you know, I'm a friend of Russia, but I'm a crow and I need to eat some crickets, so I got my hands in this. It's only Black folk who are subjected to everybody else, whether it's the Russians or whether it's the United States, China, or whoever else, whether it's Peckerwoods, Arabs, Asians, Indians, or whatever else. It's only us, Africans, as cowards of this world, that are sitting there going, well, you know, we're gonna sit this one out. No, if you're not that threat, I'm gonna say it again. If you're not that threat to your enemy, you're a threat to yourself. This thing should be used as not only leverage, not only a tool, not only a weapon. This thing should be used as a religion for us to make sure whatever we do, whatever programs we create, whatever plans we have, whatever operations we go and embark on, it should be used for one thing and one thing only, and that's for us to not only survive, not only thrive, but to take over this world. If we're not thinking in that terms, then we're not thinking at all. I'm gonna pass the mic on that, brother Forecast.
All right, so it's on Bakari, and then it's gonna be on Lightbearer, and I'll put the link in the chat. El Catron, you can come on and say whatever it is you have to say when we're done. Time to work. You know you good, my brother. You can come on here, and but if nobody come on here, we're gonna close out after Bakari and Lightbearer. So it's on Bakari, and then it's on Lightbearer.
Well, once again, back to what we're gonna do, how we need to be prepared. While we see how we see what's happening and what's going on, and even with the conversation I was having with Time to Work in the chat, when he said we always got Africans long forgot about us, right? I can show him how Africans came in the 60s. He asked the question, how could they possibly help us? Well, what I would do, Time to Work, I would just show you how they came. I actually did a show about that. Forecast, you was on the show, right? And how they came here and helped Fannie Lou Hank, and how they went there and they learned a lot of ideas that they were using here in the 60s to feed their people came from African people. And that's our problem. That's one of our problems. We think it's just us. We think other black people don't care because the leaders of those countries are weak. See, and that's the problem. Those are the ones that don't care. Today is the leaders. You understand? So the leaders need to be done away with. Here we don't have any leaders. I hear too many black people say we don't need a leader. We lead ourselves, which is absolutely asinine to me. Every group, every people, every animal, every family animal, unless you're a solitary animal, every animal, and we are mammals. We have to be honest with that, right? Have leaders. We are pack animals. That's why you see us hanging together. And you have to have a leader. And once you unite, you have to organize. Once you organize, you have to strategize, right? And once you strategy, you create your leadership, and you have to be able to delegate authority to each person in there to what each person have to do. Who is in here good with farming? So that's what you're gonna do. Y'all gonna be the farmers. Somebody gonna have to be above the farmers. Somebody gonna have to be in charge of the farmers, right? Somebody is gonna have to be here in charge of the farmers. Well, who's training militarily? Somebody gonna have to do that, and we're gonna have to have generals and lieutenants and captains and sergeants, and we're gonna have to have everything right. You understand? No Time to Work. That is not what I said. I said they went there, then they came here to help. I say SNCC, Fannie Lou Hamer, everything. They went there, and a lot of stuff they did, they learned from Africans. That's what I said. But you can look it up if you want to know. But see, and that's the problem, because we want to say we did everything and we're better than them, so we help them. That's one of our problems. We think it's just us. I'm going to say it again. We have sacrificed our ancestors, our family, and everything to be just this, instead of understanding how we are supposed to be together. Instead of understanding how we are supposed to be together, but we don't want to be together. We have sacrificed that. We sacrificed our ancestors to be next to people who don't care about you. We sacrificed who we are to say, I'm just a Black American. But you don't hear other people saying, well, I'm a yellow American, I'm a brown American, I'm this, I'm that, and so on and so forth, and yada, 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 yada. We are the only people that do that. At Time to Work, I don't know, because I'm not an FBA person, and none of those people in history called themselves FBA or ADOS. Nobody. So I have no idea how it would help anyone that called themselves FBA, because nobody called themselves that. So once, and you understand, so Mark, MG2, Forecast, Vibe Drip, blah, blah, we see the disconnect that we have. He asked, how would Africans come in here, or how did Fannie Lou Hamer and SNCC going to Africa? Obviously, he don't know who Fannie Lou Hamer and SNCC is, right? So how with them going to Africa, learning certain things, bringing them back, how would that help so-called an FBA person, whatever an FBA person is. That is something they would have to figure out for themselves. I can't explain it if they don't understand it. You understand? But that's what we did. We disconnected ourselves to be next to other people. We want to be like white people. So let's disconnect ourselves from our ancestors. Let's forget about our family. Let's forget about all that. And if we just say we're an American, we'll be okay. But the same ones that love this American and so proud of it, turn around and then complain and say, well, white supremacy did this to me. If we are all we got, why are we constantly fighting we? Why are we constantly fighting we? If we all we got. You understand? We all we got, we constantly fight we. I'm going to tell you again, everybody else is doing what they're supposed to do. We are the ones that not. When they oppressing you or doing whatever it is that's what they're supposed to do. They are not your friend. They don't love you. Matter of fact, they don't even have any respect for us. That's what they're supposed to do. What we're supposed to do is stand on our square and respect who we are and respect our and be who we are and build for ourselves. But we don't want to do that. You understand? And on that note, I'm going to say this, then I'm going to yield the mic. I don't know what a Black American is either. My ancestors called themselves African American going back to 1782. I don't buy these new terms to cut my ties away from my ancestors. None of my people disconnected themselves from Africa. That is today's argument. Time to work now. I yield the mic.
All right. So it's on Lightbearer, but yo, time to work. You already know you my brother from day one, and Bakari, that's my brother. And time to work, you can come on, but we're not gonna get into that because we already at 3 hours, and I'm gonna wrap it up soon. So but it's on Lightbearer.
Yeah, I just want to say I don't see how people can sit back and be comfortable in this and comfortable in this. You know, that's how I feel about it. I just, you know, I know I'm not sitting by and just comfortable in this. They already waged war against us on so many levels. The first time, well, and I'm just talking about things lately in between the last 4 years, I would say. The last 4 years, the things that they've done. For one is this illness, this fake illness that came along, this disease that they spread it. They waged war on us when they said this winter the American people are going to be getting sick, and they made us all sick. People were getting sick that don't usually get sick. It's because they put this stuff in our food and our water. And it's unbelievable to us that they would make such a move, but we don't know what we're dealing with. And they don't know what they're dealing with. You know, a lot of us don't know what we're dealing with. I know what I'm dealing with, me personally. And I just, a lot of times, it just seems like everybody, it seems like a lot of people I see are just, you can't get them to really want to make a move because they should have been making a move. We should have been making moves. And we miss a lot of stuff because we miss a lot of stuff that's been said. We catch things and then they report on YouTube about this happening and that happening. But the whole point of it, when they went against our rights as American citizens, our constitutional protection they went against, that's when moves should have been made against them because they're tyranny. They're tyrants. But so now we have to, like the brother's been saying on here. I agree with all the brothers and everything they said. We need to put things in order, perspective. We need to start taking these things and then that change. We have to change something. We have to change the trajectory and put things in place. And you know, I'm glad that others can see it like that, you know, but there's still, you know, how do we get the others to see, you know, and see that we have this opportunity now to put these things into play. Because none of us should be comfortable like this at all. And I yield the mic.
Yeah, man. All of y'all are speaking facts. Like, bro, we should definitely not be comfortable like this. And like I said, you know, we usually have two takes about what's going on. You know, it has nothing to do with me, and then we'll turn around and complain about the gas prices. Or we'll be like, you know what, I'm arming myself, I'm going over there to fight for Ukraine, but we don't think about self-autonomy. We have the ability to choose, pick and choose to use it for our advantage. We have the ability to use our money in our advantage. We see how these companies are saying, you like McDonald's, I don't even know what they said about Black Lives Matter, but we see all these companies pulling themselves out when they actually believe in it. And it's not about whether you support these companies or not, but it's like when you're serious about something, you be willing to pull your money out of that place. You're going to be careful about where you spend your money. 100 years ago, we knew that they didn't like us. They didn't want to even take our money to get a slice of pie. But now we have this level of comfort. But you see, they will show their children on TV crying. You know what I'm saying? They would be like, yo, my dad left back to stay in Ukraine to fight. You know, the Klitschko brothers is over there. We're going to sacrifice and fight. And we see our kids and our women and our children and our elderly and everybody else mentally ill people getting shot down on the streets. And we say we'll protest and go out there with a sign for about a week. But what are you willing to sacrifice? Those white bitches and those old white bitches in Russia, like, yo, we understand we're going to get a sanction, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a preemptive strike. What are we supposed to do? Let them attack us? You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, like, the last part was like more of a college course, but we're not on that level yet because we want to debate about where we come from, who we are. You know what I'm saying? We see how Ukraine, they're recruiting white nationalists from all over the world to come there and train. But now today they have this helpless energy where they can't do anything and they're crying, they're showing little children. But just 2 years ago, yeah, what's up, Raw? Yeah, you missed it, but yo, I'm glad you're back, Raw. But just 2 years ago, they had that energy. In 2019, 3 years ago, they had that energy. Like, yo, we gonna train. They had the fighting, and we gonna train them how to use guns and all of this stuff to master who they are. Like I said, we have an opportunity before us, but we on the basics where we got to learn how war works, how propaganda works, how using your money works, how just the basic decisions, because we seem to think that we can't even control who we have sex with these days. You know what I'm saying? We have to have some kind of level of understanding that we have to sacrifice what we want to sacrifice, or are we just comfortable in the position that we're in? So I'm gonna let everybody go around and close out. We're gonna go like we've been going: Viral Drip, MD2, into our Demela, and then Light Bearer. So y'all say everything that y'all gotta say, and hey, Viral Drip, do you got a channel?
Yeah, I got a channel, but I hadn't really been doing anything on it. I've just been building up my watch hours. I posted some John Henry Clark lectures, Malcolm X, things like that. Been working on it. Haven't really decided what type of channel I want to do yet.
Okay, I got you. I'm gonna put your stuff
Yeah.
in the chat, and then but yeah, go ahead and say everything that you want to say. Like, you can take your time. You don't gotta be quick. Take your time and say everything you want to say, and then wrap it up. And I'm gonna put everybody link in the
Oh,
chat.
where do I start? Yeah, we definitely need to start doing things differently. I know it seems like every time we build, they come and destroy, which has been the problem. How do we get past that though? I believe we will get reparations if we all stick to the same page. It's definitely owed to us. Our ancestors built this country. They died and bled, and their bones are buried here. This is our home. This is our land. You could say you African, but where your people buried? My people, all my people buried here, and specifically buried in Arkansas mostly. So I do push for reparations. Whether it's tweeting or just holding a conversation with other people. If I can get one person to understand why we deserve reparations, that's a win. I'm not going to give up on it. I think if we keep fighting, eventually we will get it. These last couple of years, it's been spoke on more and more. They're gonna have to do something. If we don't do it, well, what do? We might need to turn things up a little bit. I just say it that way. You know, take that how you want to, but yeah, just turn things up a little bit and get what our family deserves. You look at the wealth of this country, all of these people with all the money, all that money come from your ancestors and free labor. But God damn it, I want my ancestors' money. They worked hard for that money and never got it. That's like you going to work for somebody and they don't want to give you a check. That shit belongs to you. You look at all of the companies that came up off of slavery, the insurance company, the schools sold slaves, the government endorsed slavery. It's definitely owed to us. No, I'll yield the mic. Thank you, Forecast, for having the space as always and allowing everyone up to speak their opinion. Much appreciated. And I yield the mic.
Yeah, much respect, Bible Drip. Much respect, my brother. MG2.
Yeah, I got to thank Viral Drip because Viral Drip gave me a lot of, all of you guys have given me so much in terms of information and just ideas and things to think about, especially time to work. I've been watching some of your chats, and I got to thank Lightbearer because, when Lightbearer said about being in the gym, the first thing I was doing is like, okay, because I worked out hard yesterday and I'm working out today, so it is what it is. But, when it comes to and I don't want to go into the thing about reparations too much because of the fact that, of course, this is about, as the title said, the Black Ukraine. But I do want to put this in there, and a lot of you guys should know. Many folks here already know what I feel about this so-called reparations. I'm gonna say it again, so-called, and what we're quote unquote owed and what's really deserved. One of the things that I like to say is I don't look at where my ancestors are buried because they could be buried anywhere around the world. I look at where they come from. And Africans, no matter, like Malcolm X said, you can't put cats in the oven and make them come out as biscuits. There's a thing called I think it's called a Borassus, how do I pronounce it? A Borassus flabili or something, fablifia or something like that. But what it is it's called an Asian palm tree. Now, I don't care if the Asian palm tree grew in Florida, if it grew in Texas, if it grew in Ukraine. It's still, the origin of that actual palm tree is Southeast Asia. So you can call a giraffe whatever you want to call it, even if it's in the Brooklyn Zoo. It's still an animal from Africa. Okay, it still is a giraffe. So, I like to go ahead, at least that's how I look at myself as an African. No matter, even though my ancestors come way back before 1619, they trace my dad's family back into the mid 1500s, and my mom's family definitely goes back. So, this so-called, interest and energy that we spend trying to say who's so-called native or who's African or who's not an FBA or who's what, that is, from my own perspective, that's the sign of cowardice. Clearly, because the so-called interest has been developed by a couple of degenerate homosexuals that needed to go ahead and make themselves relevant in social media. And so they did that by creating these xenophobic terms. One homosexual that came up with the FBA and the other came up with ADOS. And since they came up with those kind of concepts and the energy, I don't want to go ahead and resign myself into that category because I don't believe in their degenerate mindset. But anyways, I spent too much time on that. But talking about this Ukrainian scenario, when I see what's going on, I see an opportunity. That's first and foremost. I see the opportunity because of the fact that I see that others are now showing exactly their true motives. And in other words, you're seeing who they really are. Things that we like to deny because we like to look at things, again, we like to attack the lowest hanging fruit, whether it's another African or another black person, or attack a concept like, these folks are Moors, or that's indigenous, or worse yet, gender wars, or worse yet, spirituality. We'll attack the lowest hanging fruit that really doesn't do anything for us. A gender war will not do anything for you, okay? Because you see other folks fighting real wars, ones with bullets and bombs. A so-called indigenous war where these guys are indigenous and those folks are Pan-African or whatever, that will do nothing for you because other folks right now are fighting real wars. Things for spirituality where he's a Christian and he's a Muslim, those will do nothing for you because other folks in the world are fighting real wars. So the thing is when I see what's happening, I see it as an opportunity. Because you're seeing exactly what Brother Forecast brought in every one of his live streams. He showed you what other folks' interests, and when I say other folks that black folk thought they believed in, whether it's media, whether it's corporations, whether it's even so-called friendship, they showed you their true colors. They showed you their true motives. They showed you not only with their words, but even with what they spend. He showed you 2 years ago, you had the Azov Movement and Maidan want the all-white world. In other words, they want to kill every black individual that's in their sight. And now today you're seeing the opposite, where you're seeing the so-called media is telling you to go ahead and promote Ukraine. You're seeing all kinds of things. This is one of the biggest benefits of this so-called war. You saw the issue of folks years ago when the so-called Maidan movement happened in 2014. They believed in the individual that inspired it and actually made it happen. And using his puppet Victoria Nuland to make it happen, i.e. Obama, was the reason this whole thing started back in 2014. Or I shouldn't say the reason, but he was definitely the catalyst. Now all of a sudden, you're seeing his silence. Okay, unless it's to support his former employee by the name of Joe Biden now. You're seeing the true colors manifest. You saw the true colors in terms of that unfortunate manifestation of miscegenation between this Alex, the Klansman that used to be the CEO of Reddit, Alex whatever, who's got his little bed wench by the name, and their little mulatto by the name of Serena Williams. Now you're seeing the true colors of the fact that anyone that's been on Reddit knows that that was a recruitment tool from neo-Nazis. Now all of a sudden you're seeing true colors come out. You're seeing opportunities through those true colors, at least those who are wise. Those who actually want to get a college course in common sense and geopolitical studies should say, wait, this is an opportunity. Now, how do I use it? You saw the true colors of, and I brought up Biden's track record right there, from everything from the so-called George Floyd bill to what he did to the farmers, or what he didn't want to do for the farmers, and to what you see what's happening with black folks who can't leave Ukraine, even if they're from another continent. You're seeing true colors. You're also seeing true colors of those who call themselves black or throw up their fists in these xenophobic terms, and now all of a sudden their first target and the object of their angst, in other words, their enemy are other Africans from the continent just because they lived in the continent. You're seeing true colors. The thing is, whenever you see the true colors, that should tell you, how can I use this as an opportunity? I gave you guys instances of how to use it, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in metals, whether it's in media, whether it's in security, whether it's even in information. If you own a website, if you're putting together an app, you know that app could be tailored to something that can actually give you some kind of revenue, money, information, ideas, partnerships with other folks around the world or within your own collective. But you can use that app no different than Trump's doing with his Truth Network, because he's using it, and they're using this so-called war as either ammunition or resource or even a tool or definitely a weapon. There are ways to use this around the board. I mean, anyone that's not thinking in terms of, hey, there's a conflict out there, and that's an opportunity for Africans globally, not just so-called ADOSs and others who are blissfully unaware following degenerate homosexuals who gave them a title to make them feel important. No, I'm talking real Africans. I'm talking black folks. We can use this. And if you're not thinking about using it, then you're going to be the one that's going to be used. You're going to be used by individuals telling you, well, we need to send Africans to fight for Ukrainians. Or others that telling you, well, I'm a Democrat and I believe in Joe Biden and the Russians are bad. Yeah, the Russians are bad, but I don't care. The Ukrainians are worse. I don't care. My thing is I care about black folks. What I want to do is I want to care about how we as Africans can use this to make sure not only we control our destiny, but we control the planet. I'm going to pass the mic on that note. Thank you, Brother Forecast, and all the folks in the chat.
Can I ask MG2 something real quick?
Go ahead.
You speak on this unity in about ADOS and FBA. Why is it that Africa has all this tribalism? How can we unite when it's not even Africans uniting in African? You got all these tribes over in Africa. You got the Igbo and all of those tribes in Nigeria and South Africa. It's so divided, and everybody has their own tribe, and many of the countries speak different languages. I just don't understand, and you would have a problem with us having a distinct lineage over here. And it's not saying that we don't rock with Africans. It's just a distinct lineage to get what's owed to us. That's all it is. And there's no xenophobia between FBA or ADOS. It's just a lot of people believe that Pan-Africanism, it's just been one-sided, and that's real talk. The only person over in Africa right now that's really talking real big on Pan-Africanism is Julius Malema. I'm not hearing anyone else speak like Malema. And if Africa got any sense, they would all unite around that man and put what he's talked about into motion and uniting Africans as one. And he speaks on all black people everywhere should love each other. And he's right. But he's probably the only one I hear talking like that. It's like everybody's for self, and they willing to eat anybody that's in their way to get what they need to get.
Can I finish my conversation?
I'm gonna leave. Go ahead, MG. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, because
I'm not xenophobic over here, man.
Okay, let me finish my out, because that's what I was trying to do, was just finish and give everyone their props. But I'm gonna go ahead and answer your question. It's foolish. ADOS is foolish. First off, I look at their origin. It was developed by two ADOS and FBA were developed by degenerate homosexuals, both of them, both FBA and they were definitely, who are not only misogynists, but they're very insidious xenophobics who are definitely anti-black, anti-African, and anti-me, and anti those that are you, even if you don't think so. It's idiotic in all realms, and a lineage is not a tribe. A tribe is not just, this lineage foolishness is a xenophobic term to go ahead and separate themselves, doing what Julius Malema is not doing. If you want to rally around Julius Malema, then therefore you would drop your ADOSs and your FBAs, because those are very, not only xenophobic, but they're very insidious so-called monikers or hashtags that were only developed because of the fact that these individuals are wanting to go ahead and hustle and con using prepubescent, childish egos and emotions to go ahead and hustle and con other folks that have not done a lot of research. You asked me the question. Since there's a lot of tribes over there, how can they go? First thing I ask, and I ask a lot of these ADOSs and all these FBAs, I ask them, have you ever talked to anyone from there? And not just in America, I'm talking, have you ever gone? Number one, these individuals who created this nonsense have never been, or if they have, They might have been just to one country, one day, one hour, whatever. They've never lived there. They've never endured the culture of what is happening in Africa. So anyone that is of an ADOS or FBA, I take them about as serious as I take a unicorn that's playing chess, listening to Pink Floyd, going ahead and twerking on a strip pole. In other words, to me, they are about as nonsensical as that. The thing is, and I hate to say that, but I have to be. No, I don't hate to say that because I'm only telling the truth and no, I'm telling the record. Okay, that's even better than the truth. It's the record. The thing is, and my closing statement is I wanted to give everyone the props of saying use this Ukrainian thing because here's the kicker. Unlike the idiocy of these idiots that call themselves FBA or even align themselves to those degenerate homosexuals, or even think of that, Ukrainians today are telling you everyone's rallying around Ukraine, even if they're not Ukrainians. Why? Because they're looking at themselves as white and European first. They're not saying, well, that's the Ukraine's a lineage and Donbass is a lineage and that's a tribe. Do you know that Ukraine has there's tribes in Donbass and the Donbass that are different than tribes that are over in Kiev and Lviv. There's tribes in Mariupol that are different than the tribes that are over in Odessa or the tribes in Donetsk. And that's all in Ukraine. These are different, but they know one thing. If they're fighting, they're either fighting against Russia, i.e. they're going to be there as a unit. And not only that, but they've drawn all. See, that's the difference between Negroes and Africans and Black folk and the difference between everyone else in the world. Everyone else in the world is what I call individual collectivists. When it comes to doing something as a collective, they might be individualistic or tribes or this idiocy called a lineage, but when they need to get something done, they're a collective. No different than the Norteños will get together with the Soretos over there in a prison to fight Black folks. But only Black folks, Africans and Negroes or whatever we're going to call ourselves, are collective individualists. We're collective because everyone else in the world is more Pan-African than we are because we have idiocy like ADOS and FBAs running around. We have these idiots that are fighting each other even on the African continent that want to be separate. Everyone else in the world is not African, is more of a Pan-African. Why? Because over there in Ukraine, they did not go ahead and say, well, are you Nigerian? Well, we'll let you in, but we're not going to let those from Cote d'Ivoire. We'll go ahead. In Poland, they didn't say, well, you're from Somalia, we'll let you know. No, what they did is they said, you're all niggas, and none of you are getting in. They looked at us as one people, Pan-African. Whites and everyone else are more Pan-African. ADOS, Igbo, whatever you want to call ourselves that are separating are the idiots of the planet because we look at ourselves as collective individuals. Everyone else goes ahead and says, you're Black, you're not getting into our country. They didn't ask that brother whether he was from the Congo and said, look, no, they said, you're an N-word, you're not going to come into you're not going to leave. You know, you are going to make sure you fight for us. And even if there were women and children, you're still an N-word. The thing is I wanted to tell us, if we're not using that to be a Pan-African, to see ourselves as one people, to use this thing as an opportunity, to use this thing as a weapon or a tool, to use this thing to say, look, as an African people globally, we'll look through the mindlessness of prepubescent childish foolishness that was developed by homosexual idiots, degenerates, called ADOS and FBA. If we don't look past that, then we have no prayer. We should not deserve to even think about the word reparations, much less be on the planet. If we start to think, how can we as a collective African people globally, from Mali to Tanzania, from Tanzania to Texas, from the Cambacao in Paraguay to the North Sentinel Island, if we're not thinking as a global Black African people, how can we use this for ourselves? Then all bets are off. And on that note, Brother Forecast, I'm going to get offline. I'm going to just listen to y'all.
Okay. We are not thinking of ourselves like that. This Pan-Africanism is pretty much been one-sided, and it's been over here. You know, you got Africans Pan-Africanism, what has that done for us? I mean, really, what has Pan-Africanism done for us? And you talk about other folks that's Pan-Africanism. It's not true, sir, because like I say, you got so many tribes over in Africa. It's no Pan-Africanism in Africa. I've heard that the Pacific Islanders are more Pan-Africanism than in Africa. I don't want to get this into an argument, but
because
you saying we xenophobic. That's not true. I tried to not. Let me say this and I'll leave it alone. I'm gonna speak on my experience, and then that's all I'm gonna talk on. You know, I don't like going in on stereotypes, but when I heard that about immigrants, I didn't believe that until I started traveling. And I saw it for myself. Sitting in the airport, and I happened to look over. I don't know where they from, or the Caribbean or Africa. They mean mugging me like I just slept with one of them wife. And I'm like, why the fuck are these dudes looking at me like this? Never met them in my life.
Okay.
And it happened once again in Dallas.
Forecast, let me.
Don't know where they were from.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Hold on, Bakari.
Go ahead, Bakari.
Yeah, hold on, Bakari. Hold on, real quick, Bakari, because I gotta let Bakari and Lightbearer close out. But let me say this. Hey, El Catron, this is exactly why I let you on. You know what I'm saying? Black people have a hard time. Why I'm definitely not gonna let them listen to no Mexican telling us what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? And I get that y'all are used to like telling black people what to do, and black people like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, but it don't work like that over here. So I get it hurts your feelings and stuff like that, but it's not personal. But you know, this is issues between us, and we don't need nobody else coming in when we can't really finish conversations without getting to this like divided kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And this is nobody to nobody on here, but this is to him and why he can't come on here because you know. But go ahead, Bakari, and then after you, then go ahead, Lightbearer.
Now I will say this, right? He says my ancestors was buried in the ocean, ancestors buried in Africa. My ancestors didn't come out the ground as a slave. So if this is your lineage, and this is all black people lineage, and Pan-Africanism is a problem, they shouldn't speak on Dr. John Henry Clark, and they shouldn't speak on Marcus Garvey, because they showed Pan-Africanism was the way. Pan-Africanism was not one-sided. This is the thing, right? We don't keep up with Africa. So when I mentioned Robert Mugabe earlier, and when he sold the diamond mines to Russia, and we talk about black farmers. How many people on this panel knew that Robert Mugabe for about 5 years was offering black farmers, because when they were colonized in Zimbabwe, they made it illegal for them to farm. So when he took the land back, how many people knew that he was offering African American farmers $300,000 to come to Zimbabwe? Let me finish, my man. Offering them $300,000 to come to Zimbabwe and teach them how to farm and give them a house, and it was going to be $300,000 a year, and you could just stay doing whatever crop you was farming. Just stay during that season. So when we say it's one-sided, it's because we don't keep up with everything, right? It's not one-sided. I would never wear the title of ADOS or FBA. My ancestors did not call themselves that. My ancestors called themselves African American. They knew where they came from. Actually, my grandmom, who's from Africatown in Mobile, Alabama, said we were African. Her grandmama, her mama, which was my great grandmom, who I didn't meet, told her we were African, who were born into slavery and was 12 years old when she finished slavery. It's not about who else. And see, and that becomes the problem when we can show one. Now, which other one? It's okay. I understand black people give up their history and give up everything. I told you we have sacrificed our ancestors to be next to some people that don't like you. So now we just sprouted out the ground in the United States and were slaves. And this is where your lineage die. Cut it off right here. You have no more lineage. No more lineage. But then we can go to the 60s when I showed and forecast was Africans came here during the 60s and helped African Americans. Fannie Lou Hamer and them with SNCC, they went to Africa and they got ideas from Africans and they brought them here. And Africans said, what do y'all need? What y'all need, whatever we have, we can give. And they came here and worked with them. But a lot of black people from the United States don't know that because they're stuck on, we want to be next to them and we gonna ask white folks for reparations and to make sure we let everybody know we different, because I don't want nobody to get none of my crumbs that white people might give me. And after all of these years, we haven't got reparations yet. We still saying if we just make ourselves an isolated group, make ourselves distinct from everyone else, even though we probably have family in the islands or the family in South America, especially Jamaica, because they brought a lot of slaves here from Jamaica because it was more slaves there. So then they start bringing them here, or from Haiti, because there's a lot of Haitians went down to New Orleans. So then we would just, so if we just say, no, don't none of that even matter no more. None of that matter. Let's just say we are this specific group, and white people will let us be under them, right? So now we might be able to get something. I'm not saying somebody is wrong if that's what they choose to do. That's just not me. That don't mean I can't work with those people. You're right. And reparations is a fantasy. I do agree with that, Valdrip. So that don't mean I can't work with those people that do that. I'm just a firm believer in, after all these years, constantly asking and ain't nothing been given, and you constantly complain, they give to other people right in your face. Black people turn and complain about what they give to other people and didn't give to me. So the goal have to be, what are we going to do? I'm not going to be the black Ukraine. I'm not going to go fight and work with Ukraine. I want to fight and work with black people so black people can do for black people. Because after all this time, I have realized I'm not getting nothing. My kids not getting nothing. Ain't no, and if we did get something, everybody else would get it because everybody is black if they got an ounce in them. So I'm not going through that anymore, arguing about that. I look and see, what can I do right now? What can we do right now? And anything we do for ourselves would be better than anything somebody else do for us. I'm not the black Ukraine. I'm working with black African people. I'm working with black people. And that's what black people, it's okay to have different ideologies. As long as Bob Drip say he have no xenophobic attacks. As long as they ain't coming and xenophobic and talking that I can work with other black people. Our ideology don't have to be the same, because my goal is for black people to be better. I will support a business of someone who called themselves FBA. Matter of fact, some of the books I go to when I go to the bookstore here in Atlanta, in Morrow, Georgia, that's what he say. He's a FBA. That don't bother me. I still buy his books if my other bookstore don't have the books. That don't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all, to the point of some black people trying to do something. It bothers me when we look and say, these black people here, they are doing this, when black immigrants ain't getting nothing. You can sit here and see every immigrant group getting something from this country, but you ain't gonna see where they did nothing for no Africans, where they did nothing from no Africans from the continent, no black people from the islands, no black people from South America. We talk about the Mexicans, we can talk about, because they ready to get a little Guadalupe, something that trapped at the border. They have given to the Bosnians back in the 90s. They have given to the Afghans a $6.3 billion bill. They about to give to more Russians, them Ukrainians. They have already worked a $10.3 billion bill to help those people out. They gave to the Asians. Lo and behold, ain't no black people got nothing. So I'm not going to make a black immigrant my problem, especially when I have a lot of black immigrant friends. That don't bother me at all whatsoever. My wife, part of her, as they say, lineage, you would say Trinidadian. My grandson on his mom's side, as they say, would be an African from Haiti. We the same people, and it don't bother me at all. But whoever want to hold on to and talk about the tribes in Africa, they don't even understand that maybe we are being tribal, fighting one another. The whole world have tribes. The whole world has tribes. And he didn't understand what MG2 said when he said the rest of the world is more Pan-African than us. What MG2 was saying is Chinese people see black people as African, all of you. White people see you all the same, all of you. Everybody see us all the same, except us. And if we work together and start to see that we have some type of similarities, we could be better off, because it's strength in numbers. I'm not against anyone that's for reparations. I'm not against the reparation movement. I back them 100%. I just don't believe we gonna get nothing. So therefore, I focus on what we can do. That's what's important. Like I said, I'm not the black Ukraine. I'm black, and I want black people to work together regardless. And that's my stance. I love black people. Hashtag Team Black. Hashtag United We Win. Peace and one love.
All right. And Lightbearer been real patient. Thank you, Lightbearer. And let me say this, because I said it was like a kindergarten course, and guess what? We failed the kindergarten course. So we failed kindergarten. We gotta repeat next year. So go ahead, Lightbearer. Thank you for being patient too. So go ahead, Lightbearer. Well, is she still there? Lightbearer, you there? All right.
But while we
Lightbearer.
wait on her, let me say this. Val Drip, go to my channel and see when I was at the African the African festival, and you will see how you can see how Africans from all around the world was together. Not just Africans from the continent, but Africans from South America, from Jamaica, everywhere was together. And I even got it on my channel. And if you hear them speak, the same African people that you are talking about, who you have a problem with, the biggest thing he said in his speech was, in their speeches was, we don't deal with them. When we come to America, we have been taught to pay homage to our cousins in Africa. Let me say in America, the African Americans, because if it was not for them, we would not be allowed to be here. So the Africans that come here and have a problem with African Americans, they have problems with us. And you won't see none of them in our African Culture for Festival. I even got it on my channel. We can't let just like two people make all of them be the same.
All right. So all right, let me say this before we wrap it up. Because like I said, like hopefully I proved my point in what I was saying. But and Bakari, my brother, Viral Drip, my brother, Time to Work, my brother, all y'all, my peoples and all that. And y'all know that. But y'all failed kindergarten pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got F's on everything. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got zeros. Because in the thing that we talking about, and I broke it down to a kindergarten course, and we still bring it back to black people's beef with each other. You know what I'm saying? So, that's all I had to say about that. Y'all all failed. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got zeros. So y'all got to repeat kindergarten next year. So, Viral Drip, Bakari, I got any last words to want to say about this? I'll let y'all get it for a minute, and then because I got to get off here in a second. So if y'all want,
no, man, I ain't got no problem with no Africans, but I don't believe in fairy tales either, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
So why do you believe in reparations? I'm serious. That's a serious question.
And there ain't no fairy tale about that. If we keep working at it, and we got the right people in front of it, we will get it. It's owed to us, and we will get it. Please believe.
So what would reparations look like? Just a check?
I think it should be a check and land also.
Okay, if we want land
protections.
And if we want land,
but you get the money, you can buy the land. So yeah, money's good. Money's good. Money always good.
So you want land and you want money, right? Why was it so hard for black people to accept the land and money? Why none of the black farmers wanted to accept the land and money that Robert Mugabe was offering?
I don't know why they wouldn't accept that. A lot of people probably didn't know about it, Bakari.
And you know what? And that's
you bring up Mugabe. You right about Mugabe. He was a rider.
Hey, Val Drip, that's my point, Val Drip.
That's about the only one that was over there. Who else made that offer?
Hey, Val Drip.
Are they making that offer now?
No,
Are they offering dual citizenship now?
No, that damn president of Zimbabwe now is a damn hoe. He everything Robert Mugabe did, he damn reversed it. But that's the point I'm making when I did my show about propaganda. They will show the president of Zimbabwe now and everything he's doing. They didn't let our people see how Robert Mugabe was offering money. I didn't accept it hardcore because I ain't no farmer. I can't go over there and show nobody how to farm nothing. To answer your question, see, easy answer. So now, do you see what I'm saying?
That's
so
part of the problem, man. It's being dominated by foreigners, and the people allow that shit to go on. And there's so much tribalism over there. You got visas to travel between countries in Africa. They need to get their shit together.
Sound like here, don't it? The blood can't
go. They need to get their shit together.
The blood.
Yeah, we do. We do. But
What's the
Corey, you
difference?
know this. We always hang together here, and we always fight when we need to fight here.
Drip, were you ever in the
Yes,
military?
yes, we do.
I'm
Bakari.
asking, were you ever in the
No,
military?
no.
Well, watch
That
this.
wasn't
I'm
for
gonna
me,
show you
bro.
something what I know for a
That
fact.
wasn't for me, bro.
Well, I'm gonna show you something I know for a fact. And Forecast on here witnessed when he heard the guy from Chicago who was in the military. We don't run together. When we in the military, everybody from down south hang together. Everybody from the East Coast hung together. All the black people from out west hung together. It was always beef because of where we were from. In Forecast, who was on the channel when Truth 884, who was also in the military, he heard him when he said that we don't run together. That's the point. We do not. That's fake. We do not run together. It was all people, all the people from down south hung together. All the brothers from down south hung together. Brothers from New York, that's who run together. And that's just a fact.
I can't speak in the military, but I got folks in the South, and I ain't never had problems with brothers and sisters in
Well,
the
of
South.
course, I'm not saying all of us. When I'm saying
I ain't
all hung
never had
together,
I ain't really had no beef with no immigrants for real. I know a few that's cool, but I know I met some that weren't cool.
no, what I'm saying is, Val Drip, when I say all, I'm speaking with a broad brush, of course. You understand what I'm saying? Of course, it's not every last one of us, right? It's not every last one of us, right? But for real, man, I'm telling you.
What I'm speaking on is when something happens, we've been known to unite and put our differences aside. True. Whether you go back to the civil rights movement in the 60s or even further back than that. We always put our differences aside and we work together and realize we got a common enemy.
And now
That's
I
what
can say
I'm
this.
speaking on.
This is what I can say. I'm sorry, I thought you had stopped. I apologize, Val Drip.
Go ahead, Bakari.
You know what I want to say? No, what I can say about this is, in order for us to work with anybody, whether they're black immigrants or not, like I can on a personal level, you might be able to on a personal level, but on a group level, we're gonna have to get ourselves together as a group and stop infighting before we bring. And that's what I want to do. Like when I say stuff, and when I'm talking about, if I say something about FBA and ADOS, I'm not even talking about everybody that's FBA or ADOS. For the most part, I'm talking about the people that's supposed to be leaders who are not real leaders, who create the division. I'll go ahead and say that now. I don't have a problem with someone because they say they are FBA or because they say they are ADOS. The goal is for us to work together. Your ideology will not stop me from working with you. Like Time to Work in the chat talking about I tried to bully him. Our ideology, I think that's funny because he was trying to bully me. Our ideology might be different, but I want to see your business grow. I want to see Time to Work business grow. I want to see hardcore business grow. I think about hardcore, but anyway, that's the point. That's what I'm concerned with. You don't have to have my ideology. I think Pan-Africanism is the way to go. You don't have to feel that way. But at the end of the day, long as we see value in each other, regardless if you're FBA, ADOS, ABO, regardless if I'm Pan-Africanist, as long as we see value in one another, we will strive. And that's the goal. And as long as we have respect for one another, we will strive and we will make strides and we will build in our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids and our great-great-grandkids, and we will build something great for the future. And far as I'm concerned, that's my ultimate goal, is for us to build something with our people and build bridges with our people, South America, the islands, and of course the continent, the mother continent, even our people over in Europe. We have to build bridges, but that's my ultimate goal.
Is Raw from Jamaica?
Yeah, she's Jamaican.
Okay. I'm gonna speak on Jamaica for a second. Before Garvey left Jamaica, he said Jamaica is a ridiculous place, and that's still true to this day. It's so much colorism over there and tribalism. It's pathetic, So to speak and we talk about Barbados, Little England, or Haiti, we the mentality just not there. And to be talking about some Pan-Africanism, they think they something other than black. And Haiti, Jamaica's whole problem came back during slavery and the slave uprising, and it's still a mess to this day. Why did Garvey leave Jamaica? I'm not trying to be mean or say anything demeaning. I'm just speaking facts, man.
Oh, you're right. But how do you fix what's going on in the United States? Because see, because if we gonna say what fix what under our feet, let's not worry about what other people doing in. Look at the problems that we have right here then.
I'm not.
All right, so yeah, that we're gonna leave it right there because it's already too late. This is way longer than I had to go on, but I will say this: Bakari, Vowel Drip, and even you, Time to Work, y'all all still got an F on kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna have to repeat another year. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I'll take that.
Cause y'all but yeah, I appreciate y'all for coming on here. And like I said, I had to go back to the basics because obviously we're not ready for how we could use this war to help us because we still arguing about stuff that's like kind of irrelevant. So I just wanted to show the basics on how. That's why I said there's a kindergarten course on the art of war because we can control our dollars and stuff right now. We can control a lot of things, but we can't even unify on what is. And I do know that black people around the world, you know what I'm saying, and the darker you are, you face a caste system. There's racism in the country that you live in. You know what I'm saying? Like black people around the world, like, yo, other people come in and take our land no matter where you say you come from. People who identify themselves as non-black can come in and take your land and benefit from it. And we are hurt, but we won't unify under this quote unquote blackness because black means this or I'm not black or whatever reason that we can find. But like I said, everybody gets an F, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to come back next time with another one. Hopefully we can start getting to the 5th grade and middle school and stuff like that. But right now we can't even handle kindergarten, you know what I'm saying? So
I want to say this before we get off. I'm
yeah,
not
go ahead,
I'm
my
not
brother.
talking down or trying to disparage anybody. I'm just speaking on the facts, man. And I know it's some riders over here from other places. I'm not knocking you, but it's got some problems in some of these areas, and they know it. And to say this, it's not any problems in these areas like Jamaica, Haiti, Barbados, all through the Caribbean, all through Africa, you're being dishonest, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
But don't leave out America, dude. The problem is you leave out the problems that in America. And you hear and you say you're a black American, the FBA or whatever, you can't leave out the problems that's had here. Because you can talk about skin bleaching here, you can talk about the weave here. Everything you said about other places, you can literally look at black people in this country and see it. That's why I say it's not an African or Islander or a South American problem or a United States problem. It's a black people problem globally. It's not just it's a black people problem globally. We were all brainwashed. You can talk about the Haitians speaking French. Shit, we speak English. It's a black people problem. It's a black
It's not the
people
fact. It's not
problem.
the fact that they. It's not the fact they speak French. It's the mindset more. So it really doesn't have what language they speak. It's the mindset.
It's the
Like
same.
like the colorism in Jamaica, or the
It's the same
problems in
thing here.
Haiti.
It's the same thing here. The same thing. That's why most black people in this country.
I would disagree.
And
I
you
would
have that
say for the
right.
majority, we will unite and we will ride. And we'll
No.
burn this bitch down
No.
if they keep fucking with us.
No.
And I'm gonna leave it at that. I've
See,
spoken and I'm done with it.
Okay, good. And that's okay. But that's why we have so many problems now, because we are ignored because we want to be better than the other black people. So we will ignore our problems. It's black problems worldwide. It's not just here and there. It's black people problems going through the same thing, going through the same thing, same thing. Everything you said about other countries, you can look right in a black neighborhood in the United States and you see the same thing, the exact same thing. Ain't no difference. None whatsoever. That's just a fact.
All right.
All,
Go ahead. My bad.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I wasn't gonna say what y'all was talking about. I was gonna
The
say
forecast, you've been wanting to fail me ever since you got an F.
no. I was gonna say that y'all not even in kindergarten. Y'all in pre-K right now. Y'all ain't even passing that right now. But
yeah, because you want to do that because I gave you an F. That's okay.
no, I got a C.
No, you didn't. You wanted a C.
We got to see on that. We got to see on that one. But yeah. But yeah, I got respect and love for all y'all brothers. Bakari, Lightbearer. I'm not sure what happened to her. Viral Drip. Time to Work. MD2. Everybody that came on. I got love for all of y'all. But y'all got any last words? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna let my last. Go ahead, Bakari.
Peace and love.
Oh yeah, peace. And Viral Drip, peace, my brother. It's all love. And I know you and Bakari got is all love between y'all two brothers. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So I'm gonna let this be my last words. I'm gonna before I close out.
Shit, man. This ain't our war, man. Shit, our black ass should be back in the Bronx where we belong. Now you gonna play this Marine war hero. You know what I think? I think y'all was some goddamn fools going over there fighting that white man's war. That's right. What you got when you get back here, huh? Not a goddamn thing.
I'm saying you talking about me about some draft, and all of you white boys are breaking your neck to get to Switzerland and Canada and London. I'm not gonna help nobody get something my Negroes don't have. If I'm gonna die, I'll die now, right here fighting you. If I'm gonna die, you my enemy. My enemy is the white people, not Vietnamese or Chinese or Japanese. You my opposer when I want freedom. You my opposer when I want justice. You my opposer when I want equality. You won't even stand up for me in America for my religious beliefs, and you want me to go somewhere and fight, but you won't even stand up for me here at home.
All right, so I appreciate all of y'all for I don't think I got an F time to work, but Bakari said I got an F, so I guess I can't complain. I got an F that time, but I don't think so. I think I got a C, my brother. But I appreciate all of y'all for coming on. So shout out to all of y'all for listening. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.